Namaste, everyone. This is Vanita Lenka from VL Astrology, and today is a very, very special day for me because we are celebrating 8 years. We dropped it because of my demise of my dad, so we could not do it in the last month. So today we have a very prominent astrologer, that is Ernst Wilhelm, on my channel, and I actually couldn't think of anyone better to share this moment with a true teacher and a true researcher of astrology. And many of you already know Ernst as the creator of the Kala Vedic software. That is, what I use for all my readings. Everybody knows about it. And many of us actually, are using Kala also. He has been teaching since the mid 90s, has written classics and classics like, I think, Graha Sutras, Core Yogas, if I'm not mistaken, and has gone deeply into the original Sanskrit text to rebuild the techniques from the ground up. He also founded the Institute of Scientific Jyotish, which is dedicated to statistically testing astrological techniques so that astrology stands as a real measurable science, not just belief. One of Ernst's big specialities is eclipses, not just as bad omens, but as part of long karmic cycles that repeat over centuries. He works with Saros cycles, studies the very first eclipse of the series as a kind of birth chart, and then tracks how that same pattern repeats every 18 years through history. A very, very unique technique. So today on VL Astrology, we're going to dive into eclipses with someone who doesn't just look at the next eclipse, he looks back 700-800 years to see where the story began. Thank you so much for being here and celebrating this milestone with us. Thank you so much. Welcome.
It's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. And it's really good to see you after so long.
Same here, likewise.
Yeah.
So you can just dive deep into it,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Well, when
ribbit.
you asked me to come on, I decided eclipse would be a good subject because eclipses happen the same day, no matter what kind of astrological calculations, whether you use whatever Ainamsha zodiac you use, it's going to happen, the eclipse, at the same time. And also because I see you do a lot of predictive stuff on your channel. And what I found is that eclipse is one of these techniques that we don't use enough when it comes to making predictions. What's really interesting in all the Siddhanta books from India, they pay all this attention to calculating eclipses. We have to calculate eclipse correctly. Beaver Rahman, I remember when he was growing up, he would, as a child, was trying to calculate eclipses properly using the rules in Surya Siddhanta. And so we have all these calculations, but when we look into the classical text, we don't have a lot of information, even any information on using eclipses. There's simply chapters on if you're born during an eclipse, it's inauspicious, and do this ritual. Yet there's all this concentration on calculating them. And one of the things that sort of slipped a lot out of modern Vedic astrology of the last 1,000 years or so is calculation intensive techniques have not been used in preference to simple techniques like dashas. So for instance, someone who knows how to calculate the dashas in 5 minutes can calculate the dashas for life in their head, right? Now we do it with the computer, it's even easier, but an old astrology master instantly calculates the dashas. But using any kind of transit technique is extremely painful, extremely time consuming in calculations. And the most difficult thing to calculate is eclipses. And so I think eclipses are something that they kind of didn't use as much because of the amount of work it would take, and dashas are so simple. But if we don't use eclipses, we can bungle a prediction. I myself started really using eclipses heavily because I bungled a prediction for somebody. They'd had some tough years, and I said, this year's going to be good. These good things are going to happen. And an eclipse came through and created an event that year that no matter what happened that year, compared to that event, it was a shitty year. There's no way making up for that event, And so I said, gosh, I should have paid more attention to the eclipses. So it came out of hard experiences, the need to focus on eclipses, okay? So that's why I thought it'd be a fun class for everyone. So there's a simple way to use eclipse. There's a most simple way, there's a simple way, and then there's a complex way. And I'll talk about all of those, okay? The simple way is one sutra from Mahurta Chintamani, where he says that eclipses in 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th for moon are auspicious, okay? Just like Gochara. Okay, maybe, maybe not. That's a little too simple. But yes, if you have an eclipse and if it is in an upachaya, 3, 6, 10, or 11, from your moon, you'll you'll experience the eclipse with less stress, even if it takes something away. Okay? Kind of just like Saturn in 3, 6, and 11 from the moon. It might take something, but then you're kind of glad it takes it. Okay? So um, that's not very that's not enough. We need to go deeper than that. All right. So the simple way is we simply see what the eclipse lands on in the chart, very specifically, what planet, what bhavakas. And yes, we can check the whole Rashi, but it helps to narrow it down and really see, what planets is it really close to. If it starts getting within 5 degrees of a planet, super powerful. Okay. If it gets within, if it's in the same Navamsha as the planet, major eclipse influence. Now, I find some people are more sensitive than other people. Some people will notice a transit, an eclipse to their moon when the moon's at 2 degrees and the eclipse at 20 degrees. And another person won't feel it as much, okay? So you have to sort of, decide with each person as you work with them how much range of orb you have to use. If it's in the sign, it's a conjunction and you will affect it though. Some people will just respond more powerfully because they're more reactive, okay? All right. You don't use aspects. You don't see what the eclipse is aspecting. You just see what the eclipse is landing on. It also helps to see the bhava cusp, the bhava chalita cusp that it's landing on, okay? And now you can make predictions about that point, all right? Now what happens is in eclipse, travels backwards, the eclipses kind of travel backwards to the zodiac. Well, let's see. Rahu and Ketu, of course, are moving backwards against the zodiac. So as a result of that, the eclipse is sort of moving backwards against the zodiac too. So an eclipse will enter a house. The first eclipse will be at the end of that house. And then a year and a half later, there'll be another eclipse at the beginning of the house. So usually we have 3 eclipses in each house on average, okay? Because it takes a year and a half for Rahu to move through a sign, okay? And eclipses happen a little bit less than every 6 months, okay? Just a little less than every 6 months. So that means about, on average, 3 eclipses in each house. So when we're using eclipses, right away we can see the theme that's going to be happening for a person for a year and a half. We know there's a concentration on that house axis. So if you have an eclipse in your 8th, there'll also be an eclipse in the 2nd. And for a year and a half, your 2nd and 8th houses are going to be focal points. Your resources, your money, your responsibilities, other people's money, other people's responsibilities towards you. That'll be the issues in your life during that time. And it'll take up a tremendous amount of your time. It doesn't matter what the dashas are saying, you're going to be focusing in those eclipse houses very strongly, okay? Now, eclipses happen a little bit less than every 6 months. So let's say 2 a year. When we have an eclipse, we have a lunar or solar eclipse, and 2 weeks later, another eclipse, the opposite. So 1 solar, 1 lunar, right? And then each eclipse has a window of effect that's 1 lunar month before and 1 lunar month after. So in total, an eclipse an eclipse period is 10 weeks. Okay, 4 weeks before, 2 weeks between the eclipses, and 4 weeks after. So now you've got 10 weeks twice a year. So 20 weeks of your year. No, wait, sorry. Yes, 20 weeks of your year out of 52 weeks, the eclipse is activating your life. So that's more than 1/3 of the year is about the eclipse. So you see, if we just ignore eclipses, we're ignoring a lot of what's happening in a person's life, right? Okay. So as I've learned, we cannot afford to ignore the eclipses because we'll make mistakes, okay? All right, so all we simply do is see what's being eclipsed and see it's a lunar or it's a solar eclipse, okay? And they'll always happen in opposite houses. You have a solar eclipse in your 7th house, the lunar eclipse will probably be in your 1st house. Now, as it gets to the end of the houses, it might not be true. You might have a solar at the beginning of a house and the lunar at the end of the 12th house, let's say. It could change. Okay? So, but roughly opposite. So there's a slight difference between lunar and solar eclipses. Okay? A solar eclipse happens at new moon, and at that point, there's no moon, it's just the sun. Okay? Or sorry, there's no sun, there's just the, the sun gets eclipsed for a while, but it happens because of a sun-moon conjunction. So a sun-moon conjunction is the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle, okay? And see, the sun is what is stable in our life. Sun rises every day, right? It's always there until it gets eclipsed. And now that thing that was always there, it's over, and something new is going to come. So a solar eclipse always ends a phase of something, the thing it's hitting, and begins a new phase of something. Okay? So if you have the sun landing and solar eclipse on Venus, it's an end of relationship phase for you and the beginning of another one. Okay? Now, that might mean that you separate from your partner, or it might mean the way you engage with your partner ends and you start a new way. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So solar eclipses can be enders. They can end something and maybe you want it, maybe you don't. And that determines if it's a good or bad eclipse, if, really comes down to it. But what's important, we know that something's going to change in a major way, come to an end of a cycle, and now they're going to start again in that same eclipse. They're going to pick up again and rebuild or restart something. But the important thing is that that placement is where you have to focus. And so then you need to judge the planet itself. What planet got hit? Was this planet a planet that they were successful with? Or is this a planet that was always giving them trouble, right? So if it's an auspicious planet and it gets hit by an eclipse, well, probably they end something and now they're starting it in a new, better way. So it's kind of like it's like a new beginning that leads to the next cycle of better experience, okay? But if it's a trouble planet in the chart, an afflicted planet, and the solar eclipse hits it, it's probably going to end, because it's giving trouble, and finally the solar eclipse says this isn't even possible, okay? So for some reason, I'm not hearing you very well. Are you muted?
Yeah, I'm muted because there's I want you to because my
Okay.
yes will be too
Okay.
much
I
then.
wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
All right. So the first step to judging if the eclipse is going to be favorable or unfavorable is if it's landing on a favorable or unfavorable planet. Okay. Then also, if it's landing on a house cusp, what's the lord of that house like? What planet is joining that house cusp? Is it auspicious or inauspicious? Because the eclipse in the end is just basically a major trigger for what's in the chart. So we have these planets, they're like clock hands triggering things in the chart, right? Eclipse is a major trigger, okay? And they're triggers on very deep things. We go through life and some things, okay, my jeans are wearing out. Without thinking, I throw them away and get a new pair of jeans, right? But some things in life, wow, this isn't working. It takes years, time. But what do I do with this? Should I quit this job? Should I start a new job? It could take years sometimes. Eclipse are those kinds of things. And that's why it takes a year and a half to go through a house. So during that whole year in the house, it's like, what do I do with this thing? And then the eclipse and every time it hits, It's like, okay, another step in this direction, another step in this direction, and then finally you finish it. And so, we're talking year and a half long themes of things that are very, very difficult in our lives. So we can't ignore them. Okay. Now, lunar eclipses happen at full moon. Okay. And with, full moon is a giver. New moon is a taker, which happens at solar. Full moon is a giver. It's very benefic, and it'll trigger things to exist. Okay. So full moon eclipses, you kind of realize, wow, this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting, either yay, or this is what I'm getting as I'm stuck with this. Okay. We get to see the reality of the results of our life. So we're living out a planet, doing our best, and then the lunar eclipse hits that planet, and now we get the results of that. We get the full results of that planet or that house. If we've been doing a good job with that thing because it's in a good condition, it's supported and stuff, then what we get is something, yay, I achieved this, I worked toward, now I get some good stuff. However, if that planet's afflicted, then what you get is something that you don't want, but that's what you created. The eclipse just shows this is what you've built, this is what we created, this is what you get now. And sometimes what you get is you get to be broke, you get to be unemployed, you get to be single, because, you get to be divorced because how you've been doing that part of life was heading you in that direction. And now the eclipse is like, boom, that now you're getting what you've been working towards. The problem with that, and it can seem very unfair, is that we oftentimes don't understand what we're working towards. So if I try to do something with the best intention, but everything I do is something wrong, it's not going to work, right? And that's so often what happens with people, right? We have these strategies of, I'm going to be a good boss, I'm going to be a good parent, I'm going to be a good partner, I'm going to be a good boyfriend, girlfriend, and this is what it equals. But we're not knowing that the things we think are going to make it work are actually what are ruining it. And when a lunar eclipse comes up, as a result, there can be a huge crisis with that thing. But it's what we deserve based on what we've done. And if it's something we don't like, we have to look at it and say, okay, how was I playing the game wrong? Because unfortunately, many of us are playing the game wrong with certain things. And so with our best intentions, we do things that get us into deep trouble and places where we're very unhappy, right?
Yeah.
And so often, those are the types of things we find out about during eclipses, which is why they have such a dosha attached to them. Okay.
People dread. People
dread eclipses. But eclipses are not meant to be this horrible thing exactly. Okay. Now, in the Muhurta books, where they mostly talk about eclipses, they say don't start anything within a week of an eclipse. And most certainly don't start within 3 days of an eclipse. Okay. But the reality is, oftentimes very nice things happen within a week or 3 days of an eclipse. So you're not supposed to, accept the lottery money. You're not supposed to call that person back because you just happened to meet them then. It's not like you chose to meet them then with the Muhurta. They just showed up then. So the reality is a lot of good things happening during eclipses. Now, in the old books, they give the stigma to the eclipses because eclipses often show us how we're not living as ourselves, how we're trying to do something in a way that really doesn't support our true nature. And in a traditional culture where everyone's true nature is supposed to be the same, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants an eclipse to come and hit somebody and show that their true nature is not the same, right? Which is really funny because one of my favorite sutras from the Bhagavad Gita is that a person has to follow their swadharma, which is their own nature. And if they practice the dharma of someone else perfectly, it's better they practice their swadharma imperfectly, right? So he really illustrates how important it is to live as ourselves. Yeah, it's really not permissible in many not primitive, but traditional cultures like India, right? And so, of course, these traditional cultures are going to hate eclipses because that's when the children are going to start doing what they need to do for themselves, right? And create an evolved culture. Um,
Mm.
and of course, because that gets repressed when the eclipses come, it comes out in a more extreme, ugly way than it would if more individuality was accepted.
Yeah.
So this is why there's such a stigma on the eclipses.
Mm.
But if we're living as ourselves and we're truly trying to be the best version of ourselves we are, eclipses, I mean, I crave eclipses. I'm like, when's the next one?
Wow.
When's the next eclipse? And yeah, sometimes during an eclipse, I find myself in a major train wreck, like it's like in the biggest train wreck of all time, so often in my life. I've had some devastating eclipses.
Oh
I
my
still
God.
look towards all of them because I know if it is devastating, it's because I was doing something stupid. And if I am doing something stupid, I want to know about it, you know?
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
And I know it's going to help align me to my true nature.
Mhm.
Because, with the eclipses, we're dealing with the sun and moon. Those are the lights, those are the most true parts of ourselves. And we live these eclipse lives, lying to ourselves, adopting other people's opinions and ideas, all this nonsense we try to think we are. And when the eclipse
Mm.
come, it's a time to find out what's really more truthfully right for us, what we are really like. And sometimes it's a real gift where something nice just shows up that we're like, yeah, that's what I've been waiting for my whole life. That really fits me. And other times, so often, that we all these shoes we're trying to put on our feet, which are hurting our feet, we finally throw them away, or they walk away, to do us a favor, and then we could be depressed too. So eclipses require an element of surrender. You know,
Mm.
we have to
Mm.
trust that God didn't put anything in the sky to hurt us.
Mm. Yep.
You know, He only put things in the sky to support our growth and growth to Swadharma. And, after
Mm.
all, it was Brahma and Vishnu who made Rahu and Ketu. It wasn't like, some evil Asura did that. That was Brahma and Vishnu. They created, they knew what they were doing when they created Rahu and Ketu,
They
right?
knew it, of course. They
They
knew
knew
this is
it.
all there. This is divine plan.
Exactly. This is a very important part. And it's not that they were trying to incarnate the devil to ruin our lives. They were creating this force to help us, really
Yeah.
help liberate us in a way. And that requires some craziness at times.
Yeah.
And during eclipses, yes, people will make crazy choices, do things they wouldn't normally do.
Mm.
But the reality is moving into a greater state of health and learning to live more as ourselves takes an element of craziness
Mm.
because you have to do something that's not normal, not what everyone else is doing. And so
Mm.
from the perspective of everyone else, including all the ideas we've embraced ourselves, it
Mm.
appears like crazy behavior, but it's
Yeah.
actually the most normal thing. Okay. So we shouldn't be scared of eclipses. Okay. Although they can be intense. And
Yep.
wherever they hurt us, we have to examine ourselves. Why am I hurt? Okay, now I examine myself. Why am I hurt? Well, does it
Mm.
make sense? How do I need to grow stronger? Should I be getting hurt this much? And the
Mm.
answer is like, no, you shouldn't be suffering this much because of whatever the eclipse did. It's
Mm.
because of your immaturity, because of where you're lost, that it hurts so much. So
Mm.
you fix that part of yourself, strengthen that part. But
Mm.
we will
Exactly.
miss important events in people's lives if we ignore predictions. Whatever house that eclipse is hitting, whatever planet's hitting, we won't even maybe talk about it in the reading. And
Mm.
it'll be 10 weeks of their life that year, and possibly the 10 most important weeks of their life. And
Mm.
anytime within that eclipse window, the event can happen, not necessarily on the day of the eclipse. So soon as it's 30, 4 weeks before that first eclipse, I'm like waiting for the boom, because it's coming.
So
Okay.
that sounds weird, actually. If somebody's watching this, they will say, "Oh, he's talking such different way of
No,
looking at eclipses."
yeah, but see, if you really
The
want
trigger
to,
points.
if you really want to be free and you really want to live as yourself and you really want to get rid of all the ego games that we play with
Mm.
ourselves that keep us separate and disconnected from God,
Mm.
we have to get crazy. You have to
Yeah.
want whatever it takes.
Yes.
And eclipses are part of what it takes. But again, eclipses can be beautiful. I've seen there's half the eclipses are beautiful, half of them are devastating. And you
Hmm.
don't know. So it's like maybe it's one of the great ones, yay. You know?
We are heading to
And
a great one. I hope so.
yeah, I remember in 2015, I was
Hmm.
looking at our charts and I had an eclipse on my sun in the eighth,
Okay.
and it was a nasty eclipse. And I'll talk about how we can determine how nasty eclipses are.
Hmm.
And eighth house, of course, is death and things.
Hmm.
And my
Hmm.
wife was having some nasty transits, or not, the eclipse was nasty in her too. And
Oh.
it had to do with her eighth too, somehow. Her
Mm-hmm.
eighth lord was part of the eclipse. And I
Hmm.
saw that eclipse and I redid our longevity to make sure I didn't make a mistake. That's how scary the eclipse was.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I realized, okay, I did not mess up the longevity, we are not dying at this time,
Hmm.
then I didn't pay the eclipse any more mind. But during
Hmm.
that eclipse, we actually got in a severe accident. We broke 10 bones between both of us.
Oh my
And
God.
we both almost died, especially Shrishti almost died. It was a
Oh.
miracle that we lived through that eclipse. That was an intense eclipse. So sometimes eclipses and there was nothing else in the charts to indicate something this fatal. But when I saw the eclipse, I was like, oh my God, I need to check our longevities,
Hmm.
and make sure I have the kids taken care of if we're going to die next month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so they can be intense, but lots of times it's like, okay, finally, I'm going to get this breakthrough that I need and have this thing and make my life work. Or finally, I'll quit this job and do what I want to do. Lots of times eclipses are what you've been waiting for, but you haven't been able to take that step. And now the eclipse happens and finally you take the step.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And again, oftentimes they're amongst the most important things in during that year. Okay. Now, we also know if people, really use dashas well, we're supposed to look at the transits during the
Hmm.
dasha.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
I'm running a Mercury dasha, I need to see where Mercury is at the start of the dasha. And I need to see what houses Mercury goes retrograde during the dasha. So when
Okay.
Mercury all of a sudden goes through a house and starts retrograding during Mercury dasha, oh,
Hmm.
that Mercury is going to be so important. That house is going to light up. And if
Hmm.
I don't pay attention to that transit of Mercury and I just say, well, you have Mercury in the second house, it's all about money, but then Mercury is retrograding through a different house, it's also going to be hugely about that. So to not miss important things with dashas, we're supposed to use transits, and Parashar
Hmm.
tells us to do that, but we're lazy and we're not in the habit of that. Okay, but we should. That means we also should look at eclipses. So what
Hmm.
if you're running a Mercury dasha and it's forming a Raj Yoga and it's all beautiful and you say, oh, it's going to be wonderful forever. But let's say an
Hmm.
eclipse comes through and that eclipse lands on your Mercury and that eclipse has Saturn and Mars with it. So it's an eclipse where
To
Saturn or
top it.
Mars with the eclipse, and all of a sudden
Hmm.
you're like, oh my God. And all of a sudden that Raj Yoga explodes and they lose their job. And you promised them 17 years of perfect work. And
Hmm.
no, it's not what happened. So we should also watch the eclipses to the Dasha Lord and Antardasha Lord and so on if we want to use Vimshatri more fully. You know how sometimes we look at the Vimshatri like, okay, that comes out so clearly, but this is not so clear. A lot
Hmm.
of the reasons is because we need to look at the transits of where the Dasha Lords were and why certain things happened. And then we'll
Hmm.
understand, oh, that's why it happened. Okay.
Hmm.
And so that also means with eclipses, we should see what they're triggering off in the chart. Okay. So that's a simple way to use it. As you observe and learn, you'll start getting an idea of based on their planet that's getting eclipsed, the house lord that rules the house that's getting eclipsed. You can see if, all right, this eclipse, if they're going to like it or hate it, okay, if it's going to be a good or bad eclipse.
Hmm. Hmm.
But also you need to look at the eclipse chart itself
Hmm.
and see what's aspecting the eclipse.
Hmm.
If all the
Hmm.
malefics are aspecting the eclipse, it's going to
Hmm.
be a very tough eclipse. If all the
Okay.
benefits are aspecting the eclipse, the sun or the moon,
Hmm.
it's going to be a much nicer eclipse, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
If Venus is conjunct with that eclipse, so there's Sun, Rahu, Venus all together,
Hmm.
then, okay, Venus is eclipsed too now. So there's no Venus benefit there. Any planet with the eclipse, we don't get to use very well during the eclipse time, okay? And so by judging the eclipse chart and seeing all the influences to the eclipse, we can get an idea
Hmm.
of, all right, how easy or difficult will this eclipse be? Is this a dangerous eclipse, yes or no?
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Hmm.
All right. And then we should also look at the planets joined with the eclipse. So let's say the eclipse is in your fourth house, but your Lagna Lord is with the eclipse. Well,
Hmm.
obviously, it's about your body and yourself and where you're going too, right?
Right.
So that's going to be important. So you got to look at what house cusps are what house lords are part of the eclipse, because that means that house will be activated during that eclipse, even if the eclipse isn't in that house. Okay.
So you use sorry, the
Please.
flow should not be broken, but I just had a question. I was writing that
Yes,
only.
please.
Suppose you're looking at the eclipse, where it is happening, everything you're looking from the transit, but do you look from the eclipse and natal Rahu Ketu also? Do you connect with them also from the natal Rahu Ketu where the eclipse is taking place? Do you see that also?
Um, okay. So say you have Rahu in second, and now we have an eclipse in the fifth, and it has to do, and now it's an eclipse caused by Rahu. Do we want
Hmm.
to look at, okay, there are Rahus in the second, so does this eclipse have a second house connotation?
Hmm.
Um, to a very slight degree. All right, so if a person has Rahu in the second house, for instance, that means they're here to develop their resourcefulness, their
Okay.
wealth,
Hmm.
and their resources. Okay.
All right.
So when there's an eclipse in the fifth house, all right, it's triggering children. And one of the elements there will be, all right, are you able to take care of your children? Do you have the resources for your children? Do you have resources for the children? Every Rahu transit for that person will have a connotation of resources, second house stuff. Okay.
So
But
you're
it'll be,
seeing from the transit, the natal, where the natal is, the birth.
yeah. So basically, Rahu acts like the lower house lord, right?
Hmm.
So if you
Hmm.
have Rahu in the
Exactly.
second, it's kind of like another second lord, right?
Right. Right.
So as
Hmm.
it goes through the second, so this is Rahu trying to develop a useful second house that you can trust and count on, so you have the money when you need it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
now Rahu is going to transit through the sky, and when it gets to a certain house and there's an
Hmm.
eclipse, well,
Hmm.
do you have the money to do what you want to do in this house at this eclipse
Okay.
time? And you'll find sometimes some of the
Perfect.
problems
Hmm.
that are happening in the eclipse house where the Rahu is
Hmm.
because of how they're managing their finances when Rahu's in the second house.
Hmm.
If
Correct.
Rahu's in the first house, okay, it's because of the path they've chosen and how confused they are about what direction they're taking. If
Hmm.
it's in the seventh house because some relationship decision they made or a partner, and so now Rahu's in the 10th, and somehow the partnership has an influence on their career. So
Absolutely.
you can kind of see it that way as a minor thing, just to add a little more
Hmm.
detail.
Okay.
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 So you will see some of the eclipse things have to do with the original Rahu position. That'll be a factor. So in the second house, it's always a factor of money. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
If it's you have Rahu in the eighth, it's always a factor of other people's money, for instance.
Ah, okay.
If you have Rahu in the seventh, there's always this factor of another person, your partner, your spouse, whatever, that's
Hmm.
somehow involved in the eclipse a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
And then for K2, you look at the K2 house if the eclipse happens on the K2 half in end, right? Because eclipse could happen at Rahu or K2. So you can do that. I usually don't bother, it's more minor, but you can do it if you'd like to.
All right.
Okay,
Great.
good question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So you want to analyze that eclipse chart, see is this a severe eclipse, yes or no? Okay, if it's a severe eclipse, it's landing in severe places on afflicted planets, then you want to run for cover and there's no escapes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a nicely situated eclipse with the Jupiter aspecting it, and it's falling in a house where your house lord is good and it's falling on a good planet, probably going to be a nice eclipse and nothing to be scared about. But still, sometimes people are scared because our minds can be so stuck on this is how things have to be, this is the only right way, that something good can happen and we can think we're having a bad day. So we have to surrender during the eclipses. And sometimes the things that happen, we have so often we have no control over.
Yeah.
Now that means two things, okay? I know for me, when I was 16, on the day of the eclipse, my mom comes up to me and tells me she's divorcing my dad. It was eclipse on my Venus, which is relationships, right? There's nothing I could do about that. That had nothing to do with me. But that moment in life was a definitive moment, right?
Yes.
But of course, there was nothing I could do about it. It had nothing to do with me. But then you'll be in eclipse where it also has nothing to do with you. And all of a sudden, you're causing all this trouble. You're the one causing the trouble. You're the one acting crazy. You're the one going wacko and saying things you haven't said, and changing your whole life. And you can't stop yourself, though. It's like all of a sudden you're just out of control. So see, either way, when eclipses happen, whether you're the person causing all the trouble or something causes the trouble to you, during that time of eclipse, you don't get to choose how much trouble you're going to cause.
It is impactful, but
Yes. And so what we have to remember during eclipses, we have to surrender. We only have so much control. And eclipse times more than other times show us how little control we have. And sometimes us acting crazy, doing something extreme, doing something reckless, blowing up emotionally, whatever, maybe that's what was needed because that'll only happen if we have a lot of repression, if we've been going down the wrong road a long time and it's time to get on the right road. There's a point where there's a part of us that just goes wacko. And that can happen during eclipses, but we can't, when it happens during the eclipse, there's no way we can control it anymore. We have to let it out and then get back on track. The eclipse is showing us you're off track. You wouldn't be acting like that if you had been doing the right thing. But absolutely. If we live long enough doing what's not really right for us, it's just a matter of time before we have a crazy moment during an eclipse.
Yeah, that's
that's another reason people get scared of eclipses. But again, you need that because if you're going down the wrong road, you need to get on the right road, right? Okay.
Right.
Okay. So the most advanced way of using eclipses is to use the Saros cycle.
Yes, I was about to ask that question.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, please.
What Saros cycles does is it links eclipses in very long cycles, about 1,600-year long cycles. So what happens with an eclipse? You'll have an eclipse and it'll be visible only from the North Pole. Okay. And at that point, the eclipse is so small, it's barely an eclipse. Like one little bit of the moon it kind of looks like it's gone. That's all it is. It's just barely an eclipse. And it's only visible from the North Pole. Then 18 years, 10 days later, the same eclipse happens, and it's a little closer to the equator. Okay. And every 18 years, 10 months, the eclipse moves closer to the equator. Now, when it's on the equator, when it's visible from the equator, it's the longest eclipse, it's the most complete eclipse, and it's the one that most people in the world see. And then the eclipse starts moving south of the equator until it gets to the South Pole, where it's only visible at the South Pole. And again, it's a very small eclipse that's barely visible and only at the South Pole. And then the cycle ends. So, and it takes an eclipse, over 100, I don't know exact number, I think over 100 eclipses to go from North Pole to South Pole. Now, those are eclipses that are happening. And at the same time as those are happening, there's an eclipse that starts at the South Pole and moves up to the North Pole. So we have an eclipse cycle from south to north and one from north to south. Any given time, we have these two eclipse cycles happening, okay? So we have north moving and south moving eclipses, and they each repeat every 18 years and 10 months. 18 years, 10 days. And they carry a theme with them. Every one of those eclipses has a similar theme to it. And so the first thing you do when you know an eclipse is coming, you go, well, let me go back 18 years, 10 days to the last time this eclipse happened. Okay. And let me see if it hit me. What did it hit me? And did I like that eclipse? What did it do? And now it'll carry a similar theme.
Yes.
Like for instance, I had an eclipse in 1997, I think. And during that eclipse, I got hurt really badly in an accident. And for the first time in my life, I took homeopathy. And I took the homeopathy, and it helped me recover from that accident so quickly. I was amazed how good I was feeling, how fast I was feeling good. And then 18 years later, some things happened that I started seriously studying homeopathy.
Wow.
During another eclipse. So see, there was this theme of homeopathy in both eclipses, you see? So sometimes it's a minor
Maybe it
thing.
was over your 8th house or first house.
Oh gosh, I don't remember what house that was over now. I think it was though.
I'll just you continue. I'll check meanwhile.
Yeah, I have to check.
1997 you're saying, right?
Yes.
So it was in Aquarius solar and it was in Pisces Virgo axis lunar.
Okay, of course. So it was right in my first 7th house axis.
First 7 hours, yeah.
And the funny thing is, when I had the accident, I just broke off the girlfriend. The first 7th house, and I fell off a cliff, okay? Are you frozen? You're frozen. I'm okay.
Hello.
Okay, you're back. Okay.
I'm so sorry. My signals are pretty bad today. Yeah.
That's okay. It's fine now.
Yeah.
So the eclipse was across my first 7th house. I just broke up with my girlfriend. I went to see my brother in Montana, and we went rock climbing, and I fell 120 feet off a cliff, and the cliff was called the Waltz, which is also dancing requires a girl, and I fell 120 foot off the cliff, right? And so that was a big accident, and and then 18 years later, boom, I am doing I get heavily into homeopathy. So we'll see these themes happen. Now the homeopathy didn't seem like such an important part of the theme, but it was there. So sometimes you have to look very hard for the theme, okay? But then other times it'll be very obvious. I'll give you another example to embarrass myself, but also so you guys can
you're giving amazing examples.
Okay. So you can know what to look for, okay?
Right.
So when my parents got divorced when I was 16, and the minute my mom told me that they're going to get divorced, the first thought in my mind is, oh, wonderful. The people who are supposed to take care of me don't know what they're doing. I'm going to have to be the one who does everything. So from that day on, I was always the super responsible person that did everything.
Independent, yeah.
Oh, no, by everything, I mean, I took care of everything. Everything in my life, everyone in my life, all on my own. Then 18 years later, the eclipse comes by again, and it didn't hit me. So I didn't get the effect 18 years later. Then 18 years later, so now it's 36 years later. I'm 40, let's see, whatever 36 plus 16 is. I think it was 52. So at 52, the eclipse hits me, and now it finally hits me again. And I go, and I get completely exhausted. And I go, you know what? I have to stop taking care of everything, Because see, what happened is in that eclipse is when I made the decision to take care of everything. And I ended up taking care of everything for 36 years. And I couldn't stop until another eclipse. So you see, the decisions we make during an eclipse, the things we do, we could be
Hmm.
stuck with them until the next eclipse cycle.
Hmm.
But for
Hmm.
me, the next eclipse cycle didn't hit me. So I didn't get a chance to escape until the next one, 36
Yeah.
years later. So the lesson to that is
Hmm.
when whatever you determine during
Hmm.
an eclipse can stick with you for 18 years before you have a chance to change.
Okay.
So when my parents got divorced, I made this decision in my head like this, and I lived on that decision and hurt
Hmm.
myself for 36 years because I missed the eclipse 18 years later. So they're very
Okay.
important times. So whatever happens during an eclipse,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's very important that you determine something
Hmm.
sensible
Yeah, that's true.
because you can just slip into something and there's such a during the eclipse, our consciousness is so open to change that if we decide to do something away or live a certain way on an eclipse, we can
Hmm.
get stuck in that way and it may not be the most truthful way. And then we can be struggling for a long time. So see,
Hmm.
these cycles, they're 18 years. It happened during this year. You're
Hmm.
kind of stuck there
Okay.
for 18 years probably
I have to
before
look
you
for
can be
myself
completely
also.
free of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So eclipses are serious because we're dealing not with just 1.5 year time of your life. During
Hmm.
that 1.5 year time of your life of it going to a house, you're becoming and changing into something that's going to last for 18 and a half years, for 18 years and 10 days.
10 days. Hmm.
That's 18 years. That's like, a fourth of life, right?
Yeah.
So like
So
you're
you see
making,
the 9 years also?
okay. The
Hmm.
9 years are interesting. It's not the same though.
Hmm.
Every 9 years, you might see a reflection of the previous 9 years,
Hmm.
but it's not the same. It is a different eclipse cycle. Okay.
Right. Right.
So you're really what you become during an eclipse, you're going to be that at least for 18 years.
Okay.
So these are super, super serious things. Now,
Hmm.
the good news is only a few eclipses hit us strong enough and tight enough to
Hmm.
be so huge. But even on a minor level, on a more minor level, that's gonna be a part of you for 18 years.
Hmm.
That what you become then is gonna be there for a long, long time. So it is important to contemplate and really see where we want our lives to go. So if we lose our job and it blows up, all right, now we're going to have a different attitude about work. Let's make
Hmm.
sure it's a really useful attitude. Or
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe we get divorced,
Hmm.
or maybe we have relationship problems and we're going to change some things in our life.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right, make sure the changes are long-term, positive, sensible, useful changes, not something that you'll regret down the road.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what we can quickly do, always when I see an eclipse, I'm like, what did it do 18 years ago?
Hmm.
And then I try to remember,
Hmm.
I try to remember. Well, sometimes you can't remember. It's 18 years ago, right?
Hmm.
And you
Sometimes you
try
don't.
to remember and you try to figure out how it's going to affect you now, but sometimes you just can't make the connection until after the eclipse, and then you start seeing the connection.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And sometimes you don't remember the eclipse enough before to know. So
Hmm.
it's really neat if you start journaling your eclipse experience, write
Hmm.
pages and pages. So 18 years later, you can
Hmm.
look back to it,
Right.
okay, and find the themes.
Hmm.
Um, so it depends how good you are remembering the details of your life. The other problem is every time we remember something, we remember it differently than the time before.
Hmm.
So after 18 years, we can remember something in a way that's very inaccurate. Okay. But
Right.
there is some theme there if you can find it. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the most advanced way to use the eclipses is you find the first eclipse in the Sidereal cycle and you
Okay.
calculate a chart for that.
Okay.
And then you read that eclipse. What planets are impacting the eclipse?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with eclipse charts, I like to use Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto
Okay.
because
Hmm.
so much of what's happening with eclipses is happening inwardly, changing
Hmm.
from the inside out. And Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune will show what kind of deeper changes are going on inside. But if you're only concerned with the manifestation of the events, you don't need to use the Pluto, Uranus, Neptune. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So you read that eclipse chart and you try to guess, okay, this is what the goal of the eclipse is. And that takes some experience to work out. There's a book called The Eagle and the Lark. And there she gives little one paragraph on every eclipse up to 2050 of what she believes the eclipse cycle is. Most of those are accurate. Every once in a while, she made a mistake in calculating the eclipse, the original eclipse, because this book was written before they had like really good software. And so she made a mistake, but that's a good book to get started on. Okay. That's by Tracy Marks, I believe. All right. And it's in the second half of the book.
Okay.
And then, so you want to read that original eclipse and realize that theme will always be there. And when you read that eclipse, it's very important to look at the zodiac sign the eclipse is falling in, because that's the foundation of that. Now, here we have a problem. Are we going to use tropical zodiac? We're going to use sidereal zodiac. We're going to have different results, right?
Yes. Yes.
I don't use either, actually. What I have the best results with for seeing the theme of the eclipse is we're using the Aditya circle.
All right. Okay.
Which is where I'm not using Aries, Taurus, Gemini at all. I'm using
Tat Sat. You're making them the first house, is it?
I'm
Where
simply
the
I'm simply okay. You don't need a house in the eclipse chart. Just calculate the mode of the eclipse and see what planets are influencing the eclipse. What you don't need, the only time you need the houses of the eclipses if you want to predict what's going to happen to a country during the eclipse, then you have to calculate it for the capital of the country and then get a whole chart.
Okay.
Okay. But for just seeing that if it's the theme of the eclipse and the theme of the first eclipse in the cycle, all you have to do is look at the eclipse and see what's influencing it. You don't even use houses. Okay.
All right.
All right. Now, so what I was saying, I use the Adityas, which is another way of dividing the sky into 12 parts, which every part ruled by an Aditya, having a Naga, having a Rakshasa, having a Rishi. And if you go to my YouTube channel and you look at the last eclipse videos I did, I used the Adityas I talked about the Aditya symbology in those videos. But that's what I like to use. Like this last eclipse in October happened in Datta. And Datta is the supporter, the foundation, the bearer. And we also had Saturn there. So this eclipse is all about weak foundations, because Saturn in Datta is a very weak foundation. It's the worst place for Saturn, worst Aditya for Saturn to be in is in Datta. And so people who got hit by this eclipse, they found out, how weak their foundations are in things, or they had to change foundations or start building a new foundation. So it's very much a grounds up. There's things on a fundamental foundational level that were revealed as problematical during that eclipse. And so I look at the Aditya of the original eclipse in the cycle and the present one to kind of see a part of the theme as well. But you can also do that with your zodiac sign. You can, if it's in Cancer, for instance, you can, if the original cycle is in Cancer, it could have a Cancer theme, whatever. But I've had the best results. It's been most useful to use the Aditya symbols over Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. And I really think ancient Indian astrology used the Aditya symbols and didn't even use Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, honestly,
Even I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a new fun thing I've been using and teaching lately. So, but you can do that however you want. But that's how you use this cycle. And now every time this eclipse hits, it's going to have an element of this. Sometimes it'll be smooth and easy. Sometimes it'll be more difficult, depending on the eclipse chart for the current eclipse. That'll modify the extremes of it. Okay. And to say in the original eclipse, there's a Saturn-Mars conjunction aspecting the eclipse. Okay. Well, now, anytime in a succeeding, that of course is going to be destructive, right?
Right.
And could possibly be violent, accidents, wars, death. And so anytime in a succeeding eclipse with that, you see anything going on with Saturn, Mars, you know that's going to be a destructive eclipse. But let's say in one succeeding eclipse, there's no Saturn, Mars. Instead, there's Venus aspecting the eclipse. Okay, that's going to soften it, smooth it out. Well, that would be a time that intense stuff, wars, fighting would be, there'd be treaties would be made, things would be agreed upon, things would become more gentle and harmonious during that eclipse. But it all have the same theme based on the original eclipse. And that's how you use them. But they're very, very important. And minute you start just watching them and going back in your charts to look at them, you'll start seeing how important they are. Okay.
I make if you ask me, like how do I see, you can just correct me if I'm doing
Yes,
it wrong. Like I do what, like when the eclipse is taking place, that particular moment, I put up that chart, of course, and I see how the theme is going to play out the next few months when Rahu Ketu are in a particular zone. Then I see in the personal chart, when I superimpose all the planets from the natal chart on the eclipse chart.
Yes.
So is that okay? What I'm
Yeah,
doing?
definitely. That's a really thorough way to do it. Yes.
Yeah, that's when I'm predicting for a particular event, because everything is showing up, as you rightly said, that it is showing that every event is in favor, but why this negative event happened? So that is actually because of the eclipse, that particular time zone,
Yes.
in that particular time period.
Yeah.
Which you rightly mentioned, yeah,
Yeah, and the fact
it's
that you're
correct.
taking the whole chart and overlaying it, you're really seeing the whole thing, which is
Right.
like the more you look at in the eclipse chart and connect to the birth chart, the better, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the ideal way to use it, basically.
Okay.
And then for viewers, if if you want to play with the Saros cycle, which means you want to see the eclipse before, the eclipse before the current one, and also go back to the original one. If you
Right.
go to NASA's website and type in Saros, Saros,
Yes.
they have a timeline of all of those
Cycles.
eclipses and the date. And so you can go through and find those eclipse times.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, I think some of those dates are given in Gregorian dates, though. So you might have to convert some Julian to Gregorian.
Okay.
Because I don't remember. They might be using Gregorian
No, but
calendar.
in your software, when we see,
Yeah.
you
In
want me to share
Kala,
it? Should I share it?
sure, yeah. So Kala will do it for you. It has all the cycles built in
I'm
already.
using all the time Kala only.
Okay.
1 second, sorry. This is someone else's chart. So when we see here, you have this ephemeris here, and we are heading to the eclipse next year. So it comes here when we talk about eclipses.
Okay, actually, you want to go to the eclipse charts on the screens?
This one.
Oh, you use this one. Okay.
No, I just see this. It's Saros 121 that we are heading to next year. Month 2, February.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there. Yeah, I'll just share this thing also. 1 second. Yeah, this one.
And then you could put that date in to calculate the chart. Yes.
Okay. You want me to put the chart? 1 second.
Actually, that's one option. Have you used the eclipse screen in Kala?
Where is
okay,
that?
let's go back to the menu.
Okay.
So this is one way you can find the eclipse that's happening. So this says this one here says it's the 61st cycle of Saros 121.
Right.
So the 61st eclipse in that cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
let's go back to the menu. Go to the screens menu.
Okay. 1 second. Let me close it. Okay, this one?
I'm not seeing all of it. I'm just seeing all right, now go to screens on the left.
Screen. Okay.
On the left. And now go to no, I'm sorry, go to transits.
Go to transits. Okay. Eclipses.
Yep, click on eclipses.
Yeah, I'm not able to understand this one, circular one.
Oh, you don't? Okay, because it's round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you what this does, though, because what this does is it has the birth chart in the middle.
You want to share your screen? That would be better if you
Oh,
want to
sure,
explain. Yeah, you
sure.
can just ask for, I'll just stop share and then you can share. You can
Okay,
just,
I'll share.
I'll give you the permission if you can just,
Okay,
yeah, please, because
okay,
you'll be able to explain it better.
okay. So if we go over here to screens and go to, or transits and go to eclipses,
Hmm. Hmm.
this
Okay.
inner circle is the birth chart.
Mm-hmm.
The outer circle is the next eclipse, which is February 17th, 2026.
Hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cool thing about this screen is you can go to this eclipse and now you can go make the eclipse for this time if you want to. You can just go File, New, calculate a new eclipse chart so you can see it in the North or South Indian view.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's
But the
easy.
cool
Yeah.
thing about this is with this, I can go to here, I can click on this bottom here and it says Solar Series 121, eclipse number 61. What I can do here is I can go
Hmm.
click on this button and go one eclipse back.
Okay.
And it shows me
Wow.
that the previous
2008.
eclipse was February 6, 2008.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
And then if I want to, I can either look at that eclipse here on the screen,
Hmm.
or if you want to see the full chart, North or South Indian, just calculate according to this date.
Hmm.
But the
Okay.
best part is if I click on this button, it takes me to the first eclipse in the series.
Oh, that's the first one.
That's
Wow.
the first one in the series. So you can instantly go to the first one in the series. And now you
Hmm.
have the time and date for that, or you can look at this
Hmm.
round chart. And so
Hmm.
all the eclipse stuff is really easily available to you. And on the right is the lunar eclipse, on the left
Hmm.
is the solar
So,
eclipse.
hmm.
You also can just go to the next eclipse and the next eclipse and the next eclipse. Uh,
Hmm.
and you quickly look at what if the person's getting hit by the eclipse. So it's worth using the round chart. The problem is that I haven't figured out a good way to make transits going around a North or South Indian chart because of course I like using the South Indian chart myself, you know.
Yeah, I use both actually, but yeah.
Yeah, I use
Hmm.
both too, honestly. But for things like this, where we have transits moving around, it's just easier to do with a circle. So that's why it's that
Yes.
way. So if you can get used to that, you can easily use these tools, which make just you can quickly dive through all the eclipses one every
I
6
didn't
months.
know this. Thanks. You told me.
So,
Thanks.
okay, so you can check that out. Um, or
Hmm.
for people who don't have Kala, you can look up that data in NASA and then
Hmm.
calculate the chart.
Hmm. Hmm. So, uh, what's practical to look from actually? What do you think? See, I use Dasha sign also. If you have seen my transit videos, I see from Lagna, I see from Moon, but I also see the current state of mind or current situation from the Dasha sign also. That's
Yes.
something I always use for predictions as well. And I keep harping on it every time, when I'm doing the predictions and the videos that I make. So, what do you think for the Vedic astrologers or Vedic astrology, practically, who are following? So, what should they do when it is eclipses time? From where they should check, basically, if
Okay.
someone is, yeah.
Um, okay. I think that we should, of course, check from Lagna, right? Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we also have Chandra Lagna and Surya Lagna too.
Hmm. Hmm.
We could check from both of those. And,
Hmm.
you know, and it's valid to check from all of them.
Hmm.
But usually people are going to be more, usually the moon is more important to
Wow.
people, not
Hmm.
because the moon's more important, but because how we experience our life is more dependent on the moon than the sun.
Okay.
Okay. Um, but yeah, they definitely, we should use all three lognas all the time, but then it almost can be too much, right? So usually it's just logna and the moon. A lot of the sun things that just won't impact us as strongly if we look from
But
the
it's if it is closer to the moon when it is taking place. So it is more impactful, or is it more impactful when the eclipse is closer to the Lagna?
so, well, I think it means more like where the eclipse, what house it's in from those places, right? So,
That's right.
and then whatever it's close to, definitely if the eclipse is in your moon sign, I would really pay attention to reading the chart from the moon at that time.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But, eclipses to moons are usually felt much stronger than eclipse to the ascendant in a person. They'll usually react to
Okay.
it more strongly. I mean, the ascendant is like this foundation of the chart, but the ascendant is not conscious in the way the moon is. It's not the ascendant that reacts. It's the consciousness that reacts of the other planets. And so we usually have stronger reactions when our planets are eclipsed than when the ascendant is eclipsed. Okay,
Yeah.
especially the moon, of course, which is the planet we feel by far the most.
Actually, it's like when you mentioned 3, 6, 10, 11, no, that is like the Upchaya. If 3, 6, 11, we see it's a 3 Shadaya, right?
Yes.
So what I have experienced is whenever there is 3 Shadaya, which is getting active, if in the natal chart, like if there are like eclipses in these houses, but in the natal chart, if you have any planet in the 10th house, then it starts giving very good results, the eclipses.
The
Just
eclipse.
not,
Okay.
yeah, if it becomes Upchaya, it will not be Upchaya until unless there's a planet in the 10th house. So what
Yes,
do you
it's
have
very
to
true.
have?
Yeah,
What's your
I
experience?
agree. I agree. There's something special about
Hmm.
eclipses in the 10th house.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they even say that a solar eclipse in the 10th house will make you a king.
Yes, as per Parashara, yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree. If you have a planet in the 10th and an eclipse there,
Hmm.
it's going to be really, really important. There's definitely something about 10th house eclipses that are really, really matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially the solar eclipses
Okay.
up there
Okay.
are really prominent. Some
Yeah.
astrologers pay more emphasis to the solar and not so much to the lunar, but I would almost say I sort of agree with that usually solars are more powerful, but we need to look at both of them for sure. But yeah, that's great that you've noticed that. I agree that would make a difference.
That word, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. I have so many things, where I wanted to basically, understand your Bhava Chalit concept also. How do you see the Bhava Chalit, and
If that's we can talk about that real quickly if you'd like.
yeah, please, please, please.
Okay. The problem with Bhava Chalita, okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
First of all, in India, we use what's in the West called the Porphyry system, and India is called the Shripati system. And what we're doing with that system, we're calculating out the 4th and 10th cusps, okay? And then we're taking the zodiacal degrees between those cusps and dividing it
Okay.
into 3 parts, okay?
Okay. Right.
Now, that doesn't work. No one should use Shripati houses,
Okay.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're utter garbage. Okay, the reason is when you calculate the house cusps, the 4th and 10th cusp, and the lagna, 4th, 10th, and 7th cusp. When you calculate those are calculated in accordance to what's called local space. So what is local space? I'm sitting here, and from where I'm at, there's a giant globe of space around me in all directions. I'm like in the middle of a ball. And that ball that I'm in the middle of is called my local space. Now, the zodiac signs are calculated from the center of the earth. Now, because the earth tilts on its axis, my local space is completely different from the zodiacal space. So if I take 90 degrees of zodiac, it does not equal 90 degrees of local space. That's why when I calculate my lagna, and then I calculate my 4th and 10th cusp, it's not at 90 degrees. It's like this.
Okay.
Understand? Because
Right.
when my lagna is at 100 degrees
Hmm.
to from my 10th cusp like this, that's actually according to, if I looked at it from the local space perspective, it's 90 degrees. But from the
Okay.
zodiac perspective, it's 100 degrees, understand?
Right.
So the
Yeah, correct.
degrees of the zodiac
Hmm.
are not in alignment with the degrees of local space.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
skewed. So in like in this quadrant,
Hmm.
1 degree of zodiac space is a little more, is a little less than a degree of, sorry, is a little more than a
More.
degree.
Hmm.
But in this quadrant down here,
It's
you
less.
know, it's the
Hmm.
opposite, where a degree of local space is much less than a degree of zodiac space. So
Hmm.
what we need to understand, we're calculating the fourth and 10th houses, or sorry,
Hmm.
the first house, seventh, fourth, and 10th,
Hmm.
according to local space. So then we can't take those zodiac degrees where the local space intersects with the zodiac and
Hmm.
divide it into 3 parts and put more house cusps up.
Hmm.
Because the
Okay.
house cusp wouldn't really be there, because house cusps have to be calculated on local space, not zodiac space.
Okay. Okay.
And
Got it.
because of that, the Shripadi system is stupid.
Hmm. Hmm. So
Okay.
what should we use?
Okay. So most people use Coke, or Porphyry house, not Porphyry, or Placidus houses.
Placidus. Hmm. I
Placidus
use
became
Placidus.
popular in India due to KP.
Hmm.
Now
Hmm.
here's the problem with Placidus houses, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
You mathematically can't calculate Koch and Placidus houses north or
Hmm.
south of the polar circles.
Hmm.
They just don't work.
They
And
don't
so
work.
what they do, north or
Hmm.
south of the polar circles, they use Shripati.
Ha ha.
So they're not even
Okay.
using Koch and Placidus there. So if the system can't work everywhere, it can't be correct, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Understood.
So after that, we have many kinds of possible house cusps.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
another dozen methods. Now, there's only 2 methods that calculate the first and 10th cusp
Hmm.
in the traditional fashion. Madhya Lagna is the 10th cusp in the Vedic books,
Hmm.
and Janma Lagna is the first cusp, okay?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, there's only 2 that use those 2 points. The other ones use one of those points, not both. They'll either use the Lagna or the 10th. And if they use the 10th cusp, the Lagna will not be the Lagna anymore. It'll be something else. It'll be like the east point, or it'll be the vertex or something else. So the only 2 that possibly work with the 4th, 10th cusp as traditionally calculated is Regiomontanus or Campanus cusps. Okay. So what Regiomontanus does is he
Hmm.
takes the equator and divides it
Hmm.
into 12 parts,
Hmm.
and then he creates house cusps based on those equatorial sections.
Hmm.
And he basically extends those into local space. And then he
All
creates the
right.
house cusps and sees where those cusps intersect the zodiac, and that gives you the zodiac degrees. The
Okay.
other one is Campanus. And what Campanus does,
Honest. Hmm.
he takes something called the prime vertical, which probably no one knows even exists, what that is. He takes the prime vertical and he divides the prime vertical into 12 parts,
Hmm.
and that determines the 12 house cusps. I like the Campanus system better for 2 reasons.
Hmm.
One reason I found it to work very well, and I actually use the house cusps calculated into the Vargas. And using the
Hmm.
lords of those house cusps with Campanus system, I've had really good results. The other reason I like it, because
Hmm.
in the calculation of planetary war in the Surya
Hmm.
Siddhanta,
Hmm.
you know how it says the planet has to be 1 degree apart to be within a degree to be at war.
Hmm.
According to Surya Siddhanta, that degree is not to be measured along the ecliptic.
Hmm.
It's meant to be
True.
measured along the prime vertical.
Okay.
So what that means is I can have a planetary war here between
Uh-huh.
Mars and Mercury, and a city can burn down. But in India, Mars and Mercury are not in planetary war.
Hmm.
Okay? If we use it with zodiacal degrees, the planetary war affects all of Earth at the same time.
That is all the parts, yeah, that
But
we
we're
mentioned.
supposed, yeah. But according to all the old books, we're not supposed to calculate planetary war against the zodiac degrees, but against the prime meridian. What that tells me is that the Surya Siddhanta for local space framework was using the prime meridian.
That's
And
why.
the reason there's all these different house cust systems is because there's different circles in our local space. There's many, many circles in our local space. I have an equatorial circle. I have a prime vertical. I've got an east-west circle. I've got all these circles in local space. If you want, I can show you a picture and you can really get a headache.
Yeah, please, please.
Okay, so it's going to take me a
And
minute to
also,
find
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So with all these circles in local space, different people have decided to, let's see.
That is why the events at a particular place happens because of the planetary war, and on the other side it doesn't. That is what. Yeah.
That's why. That's
Makes
why
sense.
planetary, it makes sense. That's why planetary war needs to be done this way.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
And Kala, of course, is the only software in the world that calculates planetary war that way.
Is it? I didn't even try it yet. Okay.
No one else knows. In
Oh
planetary
my
war, you
gosh.
just look in the Shadbala. I've only met one other astrologer who knows this, who has taught this. That's Hart Defoe. Hart Defoe studied in India, and he was one of the most famous Jyotishi in the Western world.
Who's he?
Hart Defoe.
Okay.
He's retired. He's retired now, but he was teaching in the 90s through 2000s, and he retired, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or so. But what he used to do to find planetary war, he would actually use an astronomy software because the astrology softwares wouldn't calculate it, right?
Won't calculate.
And combustion is also similar. Combustion is not supposed to use the degrees along the zodiac. It's supposed to be using visual degrees like planetary war. They're supposed to use visual degrees.
Wow.
It's a visual.
That's why. Okay.
So see, if you
Mundane
have
predictions, we must do this. That means
we must do this. So we can have two planets. We can have two planets within a degree of the zodiac, but one of them can be latitude 8 degrees north. One can be latitude 7 degrees north. And that's at an angle. So one's here and one's here. So you look out your window, like look in your Kala sometimes or in your software, and you'll see, wow, these two planets are a degree apart. And you look out the window and they're so far apart, you're like, how can that be? Because in respect to local space, they're not a degree apart. Okay.
Declination, you're talking about the declination, that means?
Not even the declination, but the latitude from the ecliptic.
Okay.
Which
that's yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let me find this book.
But I use declination for using the combustion. Maybe, they're in the south or they're in the north. So, so I use declination to decide about the combustion.
The war. Yes.
So am I on the right path?
Yes. That's what declination is for.
Okay.
Let me find this book.
So what about your courses, Ernst? You're still taking up the classes?
I'm teaching right now. I'm teaching video number 70 on the Aditya's course.
Oh, wow.
It's a huge why can't I find this book? Oh, there it is. It'll be here now. So this is a great book. You can find it online for free. I'll share it.
What's the name?
Let's see.
Just check it.
Okay. You can see the book. It's called Primary Directions.
Primary Directions, yeah.
By Bob Merkransky. And this is an astronomically headache book. You have to read this over and over
Yeah.
at least 10 times. It basically has to do
My
with
goodness.
spherical geometry.
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
wow.
and basically here it talks about we have this circle,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
have the horizon, we have the zenith.
Zenith.
The
Hmm.
zenith is what's straight
Hmm.
above,
Yep. Hmm.
and the nadir is what's straight
Neither
below.
is.
So what's
Hmm.
straight above my head is different than what's straight above your head,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
And that's what those 2 points determine your fourth and 10th cusp. So
Hmm.
basically, you get all these circles. Let me show you all these
Hmm.
circles.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, see all these? This is your local space.
Hmm.
See
Hmm.
how many circles there are?
Wow.
This is the ecliptic circle. This is the equatorial circle.
Hmm.
Uh, there's all these circles. This one I think is the prime vertical. There's all
Hmm.
these circles, and you can calculate local space house cusp against any of these circles. Which one should you
Hmm.
use?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
why there's so many house systems. Like this
Hmm.
right here. And what's cool about this book, he talks about how each house system is calculated according to local space. So you
Okay.
really can understand house cusp systems.
Hmm.
I have read through this book hundreds of times. It's very, very headachy, very difficult.
Very difficult
Spherical,
to understand now.
spherical
Okay.
astronomy is a
Hmm.
mind bender because your mind has to start thinking in a completely different dimension. See, we're used to looking at things from
Hmm.
outside in. With this, we have to look from inside out
Hmm.
because you're studying
Hmm.
everything around you, all the space
Hmm.
below your feet, behind you, in front of you,
Hmm.
left, right, above you. This giant
You
globe
know, Ernst,
you have
I
to
have
study.
always imagined myself like this. I've
Oh,
always
for you?
imagined, I've
Okay,
learned astrology that way. I
good.
have slept and dreamt, and I've woken up with this thought that there is a huge dimension in and around me, and over me, below me, and then I'm just a small, tiny dot in the center. And, that's how I learned astrology. And nobody has taught me astronomy. Nobody
Yeah.
has.
So for you, it'll be easy. So you think as an you think like an astrologer. That means.
No, one has to think like an astrologer, actually, not
For
just
sure.
giving remedies and doing totkas and, doing all those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so
Yeah.
this might be really easy for you then. Okay.
Is it?
But
Okay.
that's
Yeah, I'll try it
that's
out.
that's what it's about. That's how it
Hmm.
works. And so this
Yeah.
in Western astrology, they've really developed and focused on these things because they don't have all these Varga charts.
Absolutely
Western
not. Yeah.
astrologers are trying to find out, like I'll just go back to that circle. They're trying to figure out how to
Hmm.
determine how to differentiate birth if they're born a
Hmm.
few minutes apart without Vargas. It's not possible.
Hmm.
So what they
Hmm.
try to do is they try to figure out the right house cusp system. Everything is about the house cusp system. For
Hmm.
Vedic astrology, the house cusp system is not that important. We don't even
Hmm.
need it, and we can do
Hmm.
great predictions. But we can use them. Um,
Hmm.
and that was your original question. How do we deal with these Baba Chalita cusps?
Yeah.
Well, first thing I say is I use Companions cusp. I wouldn't use other cusp at this point. And
Okay.
I've been experimenting with cusp for over 20 years. I mean, and of course, even when I did Western astrology,
Hmm.
for a few years before Vedic, I did actually use Companions cusp. And everyone thought I was crazy, because nobody used them except me.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
Dane Rudhyar, who is one of the fathers of modern Western astrology, he used Companions chart cusp too.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I like them. Um,
Okay.
Now, how do we use the cusp? First of all, I
Hmm.
do not use cusp as boundaries. So I'll just pull up Kala again.
Hmm. Hmm.
So over here we have a chart.
Yeah.
This is with the ditches right now. So
Hmm.
just don't worry about what it says in the chart. Um, so let's say we want to say Saturn's in the third house. Okay, it's in the third here. The boundaries, the placement is third house, sixth house, fourth house, fifth house, and so on,
Hmm.
is based on full Rashis only.
Hmm.
So we have this thing called a Baba Chalita chart, and I'll pull it here.
Hmm.
And here Saturn goes into the second house, according to the Baba Chalita.
Hmm.
I don't find
Okay.
that working. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I don't use the Baba Chalita cusp as these boundaries.
Ah, okay.
I don't
Understood.
use them as boundaries. For boundaries, we have full Rashis.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So if the yoga says Saturn's in the sixth, I look in the sixth Rashi from the ascendant.
Hmm.
I don't use the Bhavachlita cups. I've never found Bhavachlita cups work for that. What work for that?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
What I use the Bhavachlita for is points. That
Hmm.
the Bhava is the concrete manifesting thing.
Okay.
So the
Hmm.
Bhavachlita cusp is the point of that thing. So just like I have my ascendant point, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I take my ascendant point and I calculate all the Vargas for it, right?
All right.
I do the
Hmm.
same for the other cusp. So I can take my third Bhavachlita cusp, which is over here in Aryama,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
And I can say that's my third cusp. So if I want to read brothers, I want to
Hmm.
read from his Lagna, which is this
Hmm.
third cusp. You understand?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I can take the third cusp and I can go over to the Navamsha chart
Hmm.
and I can
Okay.
find the third cusp in the Navamsha and
Hmm.
say, okay, it's over here in Bhaga with
Okay.
Mercury. So I know that this person's brother has a good Mercury quality in
Hmm.
their, so I can, and then,
Okay.
so
Understood.
basically,
Hmm.
I read the Vargas
Hmm.
from that cusp to read about the other people, for one
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Then say I want to predict marriage for someone. And I
Hmm.
go, okay, the ninth cusp, of which is the cusp of actually getting married and saying vows, in the
Hmm.
Navamsha falls in Varuna. So let me go to Sidereal here so it makes sense to you guys. Hold on.
Hmm.
I'm using the Adityas. I'm just going to go here to Sidereal, so that makes sense. How did that happen? Hold on. Okay,
Hmm.
let's go back. So let's take the ninth, go to Navamsha. Obviously, the seventh cusp will be important as the spouse. That's falling in Aquarius.
Hmm.
So now I know that Saturn is going to have an influence on marriage because it rules the seventh cusp in the
Yeah.
Navamsha.
Yeah.
I also
Hmm.
need to check the ninth cusp. The ninth cusp is falling in Pisces, ruled by
Hmm.
Jupiter.
Hmm.
So I know Jupiter can give marriage, have
Hmm.
a say on marriage. So if they're running the dasha of Jupiter, and I see
Hmm.
that Jupiter's exalted in the
Hmm.
Rashi, I know Jupiter can give a good marriage.
Right. Hmm.
But Jupiter's in the eighth house, so I know it's going to give an unusual marriage.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to say you're going to have a fantastic love marriage in the dasha of Jupiter because Jupiter rules the Karaka, Venus, and the ninth cusp in Navamsha.
Hmm.
Okay, or say a person asks me about career and I go to their dasamsha and
Hmm.
and I say, well, the 10th cusp is in Scorpio.
Right. Hmm.
So Mars is going to have a say on the career in Mars dasha.
Hmm.
Okay. So I use
Hmm.
the cusp in the Vargas that way, and that differentiates like
Hmm.
twin. Why? Like I have twin girls, they're born a minute apart. One
Hmm.
has a boyfriend, the other one doesn't.
Hmm.
Okay. So why?
That's
They have the
important.
exact same Rashi chart. They have a few charts different. The D60 is different, and so on.
Hmm.
So and another great technique we can do, we can go to the Shashti Amsha and we can say, okay, the person's running Jupiter Dasha. Jupiter rules the moon,
Hmm.
the fourth, 11th cusp, and the sun.
Hmm.
So in Jupiter Dasha, these things, the moon, sun, fourth cusp, fourth house, and 11th house will be prominent.
Hmm.
And so, in the twins, in somebody born a minute later, the fourth and 11th cusp may be over here in Scorpio.
Huh. Hmm.
So during Jupiter Dasha, they don't get activated. And that's how we differentiate using these cusps in all the Vargas is how we differentiate
Okay.
why people have completely different lives, even though they have the same Rashi chart.
Right. Makes sense. This
Yeah.
is so cool.
And I
I've
also
learned so
use
much
it,
today.
yeah, and I also use it in transit. So I want to predict the day someone's going to get married or
Hmm.
meet their spouse. Then I go,
Hmm.
okay, I want to see the ninth cusp lord in the Navamsha is Jupiter.
Hmm.
And Jupiter will be transiting their Lagna next year. Okay, that transit could possibly trigger a ninth house event for them, a 9,000 Navamsha event.
Hmm.
And of course, I have courses on all this stuff. So that's how I use house cusps. I don't use them as boundaries. Every time I've tried to find a way to use them as boundaries,
Hmm.
I make the worst predictions trying that. You know, that's when no prediction would ever work. But when it comes to points, they're very important points.
Hmm. Hmm. This is so important. Actually, we missed this point. To predict
Important
the
for it,
precise.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the reality is we're very sloppy astrologers when we just use the Rashi and Navamsha,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, and the Lagna. So we look at Lagna and Navamsha,
No,
but we
I
have,
have the degrees in Navmansh also. I'm using the degrees in Navmansh also. That is very
okay,
important.
good, good. Yeah. But
Yeah.
we're still being lazy astrologers because that works because we look at the chart, we have their intuition, and we're
Hmm.
able to do better than we're doing with the chart. But how do you deal
Hmm.
with twins? Twins show us the truth of how good our astrology is.
Hmm. I
So
want
one
to
of
know.
my
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, so one of my girls was
Hmm.
stuck in the hospital
Hmm.
for 11 days because she was born too small. The
Okay.
other girl got to come home.
Hmm.
So that changed their destiny dramatically. That changes their
Yes.
psychology dramatically for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Where do we
Hmm.
find that? We
Hmm.
find it in D60.
D60. Okay.
And when that happened, I used the D60 and a Jaimini Dasha to predict the day my daughter would come out of the hospital. And
Hmm.
I predicted, okay, it'll be Saturday. And I called them Friday, and they said, no, 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 it's going to be several days before she's ready to go
Oh.
home. She's still too weak. And I
Hmm.
said, dang. And the next morning they called me and they said, she's totally fine, come get her. So the prediction was right. And that was using the D60. The D60 showed
Okay.
why one girl was in the hospital, another one not. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we should be doing that anytime we make predictions for everyone using the
Hmm.
D60. Now we
Hmm.
don't, and we probably shouldn't, because unless the birth time's exact, we'll use the wrong D60 and make lots of mistakes, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So when our predictive ability from a technical point of view is very, very sloppy if we don't have exact time and use D60, D40, D45.
Hmm.
But if we don't have the exact time and we try to
Hmm.
use those charts, we'll make lots of mistakes. So instead,
Yes.
what we do, we use charts like Rashi and do amazing predictions because our intuition helps us, you know?
Hmm.
But we're only using a little bit of astrology, actually. We're using a little astrology and a lot of intuition.
Hmm.
But we have exact birth time, like I have with my twins. I can
Hmm.
use a lot of astrology and I can see that there's only one day in their entire lives that they had the same thing happen. Otherwise,
Right.
nothing ever happens the same to them. They're completely into different
Completely
things.
different. Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
completely different people, and they're only born a
But
minute
you
apart.
correct the chart, right? The timing you can correct, right? With the
Yes,
help of D60.
yes. So if we really want to be scientifically correct, we need to
Hmm.
rectify the chart, make sure the chart is accurate to the
Yeah.
time, and then we can use all these Vargas.
Hmm.
But that's very hard. And usually
Very hard.
tuition gets us through the reading, you know?
Yes.
But say we wanted to program a computer or
Hmm.
AI to do predictions. It would never be able to do so unless we
Oh,
have exact time.
people
Because
have just gone
it doesn't,
crazy with this AI thing, you
yeah,
know.
because it
So they
has
are
no
just
intuition. So it has to be scientifically perfect.
right.
Yeah.
No, we can use it as a tool. You're stuck, okay, fine, but not for astrology purpose. I don't think so. We can't play with anyone's life using AI, to predict.
It's
How
really
is it?
scary what people are willing to use
Very.
AI for.
It's like every next in the neighborhood we have an astrologer born, I feel. Whosoever is coming to me right now, like for readings, you won't believe they know so much, yet nothing, you know I don't
Okay.
know from where they get the information that, okay, this is my horoscope and this is what is happening in my life. And I know this is my dasha. And I said, did you learn astrology? They say, no, we don't know astrology, but we have checked online and we know what is our horoscope like. And you won't believe, sun is in the seventh house. The person is born in the morning.
Oh, okay. That's what it
Just
says, right?
imagine that's what AI is doing.
Yeah, I
And
totally
how can the
understand.
horoscope be correct when sun is in the seventh house and your birth is morning time? The basic,
Exactly.
the
There's
basic is calculated wrong. I
they
said, no
don't
way,
calculate.
you
Yeah,
should not.
I know the AI when you just go to ChatGPT or something.
Yes.
I've have a lot of people, they will send me their AI reading, and I'll go, oh, this is
Yeah,
actually really
same
accurate.
here.
So I went and I went to ChatGPT and I put in my birth date and it
Hmm.
gave my right lagna, it gave the right sun, but it gave the
Huh.
moon sign wrong.
Hmm.
And I'm
See?
thinking, how did it give the right lagna and the wrong moon? Because the lagna,
How?
if anything, should be wrong.
How? Yeah, the same thing happened with that person, Aquarius rising, and
Yeah,
sun is in the seventh house.
exactly.
I said,
Can't be.
you're 6:30 born. How can your sun be in the seventh house? AM.
Exactly. So I
Oh
don't
my
know. So
gosh.
the AI definitely needs to calculate we need to call it to the AI so they can calculate their charts right to start.
Yeah, we need to do something about it, Ernst.
But
You
see,
need to
I
do
don't
something
know
about it.
how it's calculating the charts. It's somehow just trying to go online to calculate a chart. So I don't know what it's doing. Um,
Yeah, so that
but yeah,
you should
a
tell
lot of
everybody,
people,
my audience at least, not to go there. Don't do it, please.
yeah, all I know
Avoid.
is that AI
Yeah.
is growing. It's going to be a part of everything.
Hmm.
It's like if people are willing to have AI girlfriends, think of it. If you can get away with an AI girlfriend, you'll or an AI counselor or whatever, then there's nothing that people won't do with AI if they can.
Hmm.
So it's going to be really interesting to watch
Yeah.
humanity, take
And
its next step.
Rahu is already in Aquarius, so the sidereal. I know
Yeah,
you're
with
also
Sidereal.
using that,
Yeah.
so you know what is it going to be like, and it does give the result of the previous sign also, like
Yeah.
Capricorn. Like I use it. So when it was in Pisces, so many
Mhm.
things. It was a boom for AI, and
Oh,
everybody's talking about it. How come when Rahu is not? I said that it is giving the result of the previous sign also. I take 212 relationship of Rahu from the sign where it is. So
mhm.
when I took this and the readings are so accurate, and now I'm taking because it is going to towards the Capricorn sign next year. So I know that we are going to be in the under the influence of AI even more, and we are going to be trapped because Capricorn is the sign of a trap.
Yeah.
It's a makara. It's like the mouth of the crocodile. It will just engrip us, like Saturn there engripped us and COVID came. So when
Yeah.
Rahu is going to be there, I'm not scaring anyone. Disclaimer again, but yeah, it is already happening, and I can see that
No,
it's because Rahu is moving, inching backwards
yeah,
towards Capricorn. Yeah.
makes sense. It's definitely the next fad.
I don't know what is going to happen. Let's hope for the best. Thanks so much, Ernst, for your time. I'm so sorry
Thank you for inviting
I
me.
took up
That was
so many
fun.
things and questions and
No,
your
no,
time
I'm
also.
I'm glad we spent some time on the Bhavas for you, and I
Yeah.
hope you can experiment with using them in the Vargas like that, and
Yes, yes, I
it'll
will.
help round out what the dashas are doing.
No, it is really interesting, and I really like the planetary war thing that you said. That is really, very important. I'm going to check that.
Yeah.
And of course, also, India, when we talk about India's chart, people put up the Taurus rising.
Hmm.
I have used Capricorn rising because,
Okay.
over and above India is Capricorn, when it was born, suppose.
Exactly.
So I have seen results coming in when it was Capricorn rising also.
Cool.
So it makes sense, when we just bifurcate it and we are under, like, obviously the sky is not going to be the same and the degrees are not going to be the same if at one place. And if you compare it, that is why the ascendants are also different, the rising signs
Yeah,
change.
yeah,
So it makes total sense. Thank you so much for giving
yeah.
me
And,
this.
and in the planetary war, you
Yeah,
can't see it in the chart. The only way to see it is to go to the Shad Bala
short bala. Okay.
and see if there's a Yuddha Bala, then you know
Which
there's
bala?
a Yuddha.
Okay, okay.
If you
Mm-hmm.
see the Yuddha Bala, that
Yudhabala.
means
Yudhabala
planetary
is there.
war.
Yeah. Yudhabala
Yeah,
will
because
tell, right?
yes, because it's not based on the zodiac degree, you can't see it in the chart.
Okay. And
And the plant,
Yudhabala has to be at the same degree, same number,
the,
right?
the Yuddha Bala Yes, it'll have this. Yeah, the Udabala is based on the visual degree, on the local
Okay.
space degree.
Hmm.
And so then you'll see it. So if it shows Udabala, one planet will get a plus and one planet will get a minus.
Uh-huh.
The plus is the winner, the minus is the loser.
Wow. That's simple.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that's one of the calculations of Shadbala is the Udabala.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
I'll
what
I'll
you'll find.
definitely be using this now,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
let me know how you go do with that. And,
I'm going to use it for sure. I'm
world
going to be
events
using
or
it.
events charts, I just predict lunar years at the
Hmm.
place, and I look at the eclipse charts for that
Hmm.
place. And
Okay.
so Delhi's the capital, so Lunar New Year for Delhi, Lunar New Year and then the eclipse charts for Delhi. Those will give you
Hmm.
3 charts a year to work with,
Okay.
especially the
Okay.
solar eclipse charts. Yeah, and they very much reveal. I never try to use national charts because there's too much debate about what the right logna is, when was
Hmm.
the country born. I just
Hmm.
use the location and calculate lunar returns. You can do
Hmm.
monthly returns and things like that, or
And you
lunar
use
new years.
true nodes, right? True nodes.
Yeah,
I use true nodes because they get direct also. So I love using true nodes for
yeah,
that
yeah.
reason.
Yes, I use the true node.
Yeah.
Mean nodes are just not calculated correctly, sadly. It doesn't work.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
But some people say that they work for them. Like even
Yeah.
the astrologers say that it works for them. I don't know how it works, but
The problem with mean node is that by definition,
hmm,
the node is where the moon is going to cross the ecliptic.
hmm,
If
hmm,
you go to your software and you put the moon at 0 latitude,
hmm,
it should be right on the node.
hmm,
But
hmm,
with mean node, that doesn't happen.
hmm,
With true node, it does happen. The problem with true node is what happens in between all that time,
hmm,
And there's different ways that they could possibly decide what's happening.
hmm,
They've chosen one way to call it true node, but it's not fully true actually, because I mean, there's no way to calculate a fully true node, but at least the node is at the right place when it crosses the ecliptic,
hmm,
which is
hmm,
what's most critical. One of the things with true nodes, the reason it retrogrades is because as the moon can change latitude so fast
hmm, hmm.
that that can cause the node to go backwards. That's due to the rapid changes in the moon's latitude, actually,
It
believe
is
it.
actually going back direct also. Is it actually, or it's just a
It's
illusion again?
Well, again, Rahu and Ketu only exist when the moon
Hmm.
crosses the ecliptic. They're not even there until the moon gets there. And
Okay.
then we're trying to imagine where are they when they're not in existence, basically.
Hmm.
Now, by
That
definition, the
helps.
node is when the moon crosses the ecliptic.
Hmm.
So it exists here and it exists here.
Hmm.
Where does it exist in between that time? That's the problem, right? And so what
Hmm.
True Node does, it takes all the motion. See, one day the moon will move. The moon doesn't move the same fast every day. And you might notice one day it goes through a nakshatra in 20 hours. A few
Hmm.
days later, it goes through a nakshatra in
27
26
hours.
hours, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So because of that, they say, okay, because the moon's moving this fast and this slow and this fast,
Hmm.
we um, will make Rahu move forward faster, make it move forward not as fast, depending on the moon's motion.
Okay.
As it goes faster and slower. They try to calculate that in. Then also, as the moon changes latitude, well, if it
Hmm.
changes latitude, if it moves more north, it moves closer to Rahu, right? So
Right.
now Rahu moves more forward. If it moves more south, it's moving further from Rahu. So now Rahu goes the opposite direction and so on. So between those
Okay.
two things, they're trying to figure out where Rahu really is in the middle of
Hmm.
the month.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
problem is it's nowhere. So how do you calculate something that's nowhere? There's different theories about the right way to do it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
far, the more evolved calculation is using that. I have an astronomer friend that told me there's a better way to do it, but I
Hmm.
haven't gotten him to do it yet. So
Oh,
maybe there's a better way.
I'll wait for that. I'm
Yeah,
excited
well,
now.
I don't think he's ever going to do it.
Why?
He used to program a lot of astrology stuff, but now he's other things. And
Okay.
he said he didn't want to work on it. I asked him last time.
Okay.
So I have to kidnap him, break his fingers. Maybe he'll
Yes, tell him that there's another female, who's after you. So just tell me,
Yeah,
and then I'm going to be,
yeah.
chasing
I'll tell
you.
him you're after him. So
Yes, you can tell him.
yeah, tell him you're on it. But it might
Yeah.
not be better. I don't know. But it's something I'd like to put more thought to. I calculated another method
Hmm.
where I tried another method where I took the node when it crossed the ecliptic and when it crossed the ecliptic.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
I took the time between those two periods
Hmm.
and I found a mean motion during those correct times.
Okay.
And I tested it. It had some promise, but then it was caused, for some reason, it was causing some bugs and
Mm-hmm.
causing some crashes, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I had
Mm-hmm.
to put it on hold. And right now, the entire Kala is being rebuilt. And once it's
Oh,
completely
really?
rebuilt into a modern language, then I probably want to go back to working on different node options.
Hmm.
But I use True Node, and it seems to work really, really good. And I definitely like it better than Mean Node,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
for
No, I
sure.
really want to understand this. If you are incorporating this true nodes thing, based on moon's motion,
Yeah. Yeah, that's
if
what
it
they
is,
do, and that's what they're doing
yeah,
in True
it'll be
Node.
wonderful
They're
actually.
basing it on all these moon motions
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
are trying to decide. So basically, it's
Hmm.
almost like illusion. Rahu's going to be where the moon crosses the ecliptic.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, up until that point, where
Hmm.
there's an illusion, the moon goes north, makes it seem like Rahu will be here. But then it goes south, and it seems like Rahu will go there. Then it
Hmm.
moves fast, and it seems like Rahu will be here. Then it slows down, it'll seem like Rahu. So throughout the entire month,
Hmm.
you see the
It'll be back
Rahu
and forth. Yeah,
back
up
and
down.
forth. That's
Hmm.
like there's an illusion. This is
Hmm.
where, based on where the way the moon's moving
Hmm.
right now,
Hmm. Hmm.
it'll end up here. But then the
Hmm.
next
Hmm.
day, the moon changes direction, changes a little bit, and
Hmm.
now it's in a different place. So we're
Hmm.
really looking at an imaginary position. It's not really
Hmm.
there
So how
because
did you calculate that Rahu is getting direct, in the software? You have already mentioned that Rahu is getting direct on this
yeah.
so and so
So
date.
the true node calculation shows when it
Hmm.
goes direct because sometimes the node will
Uh-huh.
move in the opposite direction
Hmm.
because of the motion of the moon. So the motion of the moon makes it seem like the node is moving in the opposite direction. But again, it's not really moving in the opposite direction. See, when
Hmm.
Jupiter moves in opposite direction, it's really moving retrograde.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the node doesn't do that because see, the node doesn't exist most of the month.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not there until the
Hmm.
moon crosses the ecliptic, and then it's there.
Right.
Got
Right.
it? It's simply not there the rest of the time. And there, the calculation for true node is just trying to guess where it is, okay?
Hmm.
And
It's just a guesswork.
during it's just a guesswork. It's trying
Yeah.
to guess where it's going to be. It seems to
Hmm.
work really, really well, but it's not like there's actually something that went retrograde because the thing doesn't even exist until the
Hmm.
moon crosses the ecliptic. So we're
Hmm.
literally trying to calculate an imaginary point
No,
that
but any
doesn't even
event which is
exist.
taking place, we can understand that also, no? On the mundane level, suppose that a particular zone, some event happened,
Mhm.
like a mishap happened or an earthquake happened. So we can't we just work on that and we can give the blame, or we can just say that this is the, Rahu's responsibility because it was somewhere forming a connection with moon. Can't we just calculate it that way
Um, well,
or no?
there'll be something there that's causing it, but again, the difference in motion is very slight. It's not like it goes 5 degrees backwards. It's just a little bit a wobble.
Hmm.
It's a few minutes back, a few minutes forward. It's just a few minutes here and there, and
Okay,
so it's not enough to do that with. It's just
to
such a
do that.
small amount, you know. Um,
Yeah.
it's just a
But
small
you know what,
wobble.
Ernst? I have seen in your software, especially, whenever any event has taken place, especially when I put up a chart of a particular zone, like suppose it is India, or if I put up a chart of Washington, whenever there is an event, I have correlated it when Rahu gets direct. Somehow it has matched up
Okay.
to, say, 70 to 80% times it has.
Okay. So you're finding more of the important events are happening when Rahu's
I
direct.
have, and
Oh.
I give the credit to this Rahu getting direct, and thanks to you that you have, given that in the ephemeris also. This updated version is really helping me a lot.
Okay,
So
good.
you can
I'll
try
have
it
to look
out.
into that.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
try it
that's
out.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, retrograde, the other planets, when they're retrograde, give bigger effects. And that's the opposite of their normal motion. So yeah, maybe Rahu actually
This
does.
is also erratic for them, no? For Rahu,
Makes
Ketu,
sense.
not Ketu. Actually, it's
Yeah,
Rahu who's causer of
yeah,
everything. So I feel that whenever they are erratic, and 3-4 days, they are there in that direct
exactly.
mode. So it is a big time, to
It is.
create an event.
It's almost half the time. So you're actually, that's really cool. You're noticing that the
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah, absolutely. I'm doing transits very minutely on a very, a pinpointed way. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to see why this thing happened in this particular zone. I put up the chart of that particular zone. Suppose some earthquake happened and, so many people, just got impacted. If it is a very minor one, I don't. But when it is a very huge event or a very impactful event, I have seen that Rahu is direct on
Wow.
that particular time. And
Okay, that's really cool.
it is closer to the new moon time also, generally, to
Okay,
the new
yeah,
moon time.
yes.
New moon and
Okay,
Rahu's direct.
wow.
So you can try it out,
Yeah,
if
I
there is an
definitely
event
will.
happening in
I'll start
your
paying attention to
life
the,
also, personal life also.
yeah, yeah. I'll start paying more attention to that direct motion
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
sure.
it is. And
Thank
do
you.
let me know if you get to know how, you're going to be calculating it. If you get in touch with
Yeah,
it, catch
if we
hold of
come up
that
with some more
astronomer.
ideas. Yeah, I have some notes I'll try to understand from my friend. And
Yeah.
uh, you know, I I calculated according to what I thought he said, and when I showed it to him, he goes, "No, that's not completely it. It's much more advanced than that." I did, I guess, a simple form of it,
Mm-hmm.
but, and it would not allow for any direct motion, though. It would be retrograde always. So
Which one?
if I did the one method I was using, I had tried,
Okay.
it
Okay.
actually it never would go
It
direct in
never
that.
will get direct,
But if
right?
you're noticing like direct triggering stuff, that's really significant. That maybe this we do want to use it with retrograde mode with
No,
direct motion.
we please let it be, let's use the
Yeah,
direct motion. I'm using it and
yeah,
I'm the example right in front of
yeah,
you. It
yeah.
is
And
working.
then you probably want to keep using the true node as it's
Yeah,
calculated today.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it really teaches you a lot about Rahu and Ketu when you think about it, that it's really
Hmm.
not even possible to calculate exactly except for twice a month. Otherwise,
Hmm.
it's not there, you know?
Yeah.
And
That also makes sense,
yeah,
actually. Maybe once we have it handy, so I will be able to work more on that as well.
yeah,
Once you do it. So I don't
yeah, you
mind,
can research it
using
and
the.
tell us.
Hmm.
And see what
Hmm.
I understand. We know the south node is here when the moon crosses, and we know the north
Hmm.
node is here when it crosses, okay?
Right, right. Hmm.
So we know those are facts.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't understand why in the true node calculation
Hmm.
they try to guess where it's going to be instead of just, if we know it's here 1 month and here 1 month,
Hmm.
when the moon crosses the ecliptic, why don't we just be in between that time, just cut that in, just use a proportion, if you're halfway
Hmm.
through the month, it's in the
Hmm.
middle, right? They
Right.
don't do that. Instead, based on the motion of the moons, they're
Hmm.
acting as if this point is bobbling around changing. So Rahu and Ketu changes.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't know who came up with that. It'd be really interesting to research who actually developed the true node calculation. It's
Hmm.
definitely better than the mean node calculation. Mean node calculation doesn't even calculate the moon. It just
Hmm.
says that Rahu and Ketu move an average rate of this throughout all
Average.
time. And so it's not very
It's too
accurate.
vague. It's too vague.
It's too
And
vague. Yeah.
I have never used mean note somehow. It has never worked for me. I don't know. If it is working for others, it's fine. They can go
Yeah.
ahead with it, but it doesn't work for me. I've
And the other
never.
thing, yeah, the other
Yeah.
thing I did too was I did tests with charts where people would have the node change with different methods. So
Okay.
with the one method I tried and the true
Hmm.
node and the mean node, I would try all three. and say, oh, wow, this person, there's no way he's got Rahu here. It has to be in this house and sign. And based on that, I had best luck with True Node when I researched everything that I could.
Oh, it's at 0 degrees, and it is on the verge of changing signs. In the mean nodes, it's in the previous house only.
Exactly.
It remains there. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way.
I haven't found it worked. No, I found mean node every time proved better.
It doesn't work.
Or sorry, not mean node, true node.
And why the eclipses dates don't change if they are using mean nodes, and we are using true.
When they're actually calculating eclipses, they always happen at an actual node.
Okay.
We only have these true and mean node calculations to calculate where the node might be when the moon's not on the ecliptic. Eclipses happen when the moon's on the ecliptic. And so at that point, we have the actual visible node. The node actually exists then. The other thing we need to do too, and that would really be important for world events, is use the nodes of all the other planets too. So all the planets have nodes, and they're all very sensitive points. So if you have, the node of Jupiter and Saturn is crossing it, that's going to have an impact. Or if you have an eclipse on the node of Jupiter. So one of the things I want to do in a future version of Kala is calculate all the nodes for all the planets.
Wow.
Yeah, I predicted the COVID because COVID was really interesting. I predicted 2 years in advance. It was because on the eclipse, we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction on the south node of Pluto in the sign of Saturn. And Saturn, of course, rules disease, right? And so, it was obviously showing a really important world-changing event because we also had the Pluto south node involved.
Yes.
And, the moon takes 28 days to go around the zodiac, right? But it takes Rahu 18 years to go through the zodiac. So now think of that. Pluto takes 240 years to go through the zodiac. The node of Pluto goes much, much slower, right? So all the planets other than the sun have a node. And so there's all these points that we're not even using. And some of them are very slow moving points.
You're talking about the upagrahas, or you're talking about
the nodes of the other planets. See, all the node
Where did you find them?
I'm sure I can calculate them with the Swiss ephemeris. I just haven't done it in Kala.
Can I see it? Like if you
have time. I don't have it. I don't.
Oh, you don't have it?
Search online for a table. I can't calculate, but I haven't. So you can find online. You can search for nodes of other planets.
Wow.
But
okay, I will.
They're very, very slow moving points. Okay. And because they're slow moving points, they're very useful in long-term world events. Like if you look at Jupiter and Saturn nodes, and I bet you'll be able to do all kinds of neat things with long-term world events. Like we're talking building and falling of nations, hundreds, thousands of years of themes would be revealed by the nodes. See, the same way we have this moon cycle of 18 years, and it's a significant cycle like we talked about. Why the moon's nodes? Why do we only care about them? Because we're experiencing everything through the moon. So from our point of view, the nodes of the moon are the most important. But from a level of what's happening on Earth over a long period of times, extinctions of dinosaurs and things like that, it's the other nodes that are going to have the equal weight of the moon's nodes in our own chart.
Wow. Okay.
So we need to see, where is Saturn's nodes? Where is Jupiter's nodes? Jupiter has to do with the whole growth of society and culture. It's a very important planet. And so what's the direction of that growth? Well, we look at the nodes, the node of Jupiter.
Okay.
And there'll be a south node and a north node, because the same way, the planets move north and south of the ecliptic, right? And every time they cross the ecliptic, they cross it at their node.
Right. So for Jupiter also the same phenomena will work, is it?
Yeah,
and
the same phenomenon.
The event related to Jupiter will take place at that particular time when it is crossing the ecliptic closer to Jupiter. Wow.
The way to look at it is like the moon's node, Rahu, is a journey of our consciousness into new things, right? And south node is what our consciousness has experienced.
Obviously.
So with same principle applies to any planet. The north node of Jupiter is how society is developing in a new way. The south node of Jupiter is the society that Jupiter is leaving behind. Okay. See, all the good evolution of societies, of cultures, moving to a more spiritual age, all that's under the rulership of Jupiter, right?
Right.
So we can see the long-term, world themes of the Jupiter to the node. So, and if you see a Saturn-Mars conjunction on, and an eclipse, say on Jupiter South Node, there's going to be some old culture stuff that's going to blow up.
Blow up.
Yeah.
I was
So one day,
thinking.
like right now, there's a lot of religious tension in the world. And an unusual amount of religious tension right now. We have the Israelis, and we even have the Hindus in India have giving problems. Who would ever imagine? And then we have the, of course, we have Arabs causing troubles, and we have Christians who are
This could be anything related to religion. That makes sense. It could be because of Jupiter's nodes.
So if you study the nodes of Jupiter, you'll be able to predict when there's big changes in those things. Like we have this new age now, like, the gurus coming west, astrology going through the world, the emergence of Vedic astrology. Why those would be nice transits to Rahu's north node. And so we can, without the nodes, Jupiter moves too fast, 12 years. We need a slow moving something, right? To see the long-term evolution that Jupiter is creating and the events to that. So the nodes are really a key thing for studying the rise and fall of cultures and empires and all that. With that conjunction on Pluto South Node, world culture has changed since COVID. It has changed.
Maybe the layoffs and all, whatever the jobs are just, maybe it's because of Saturn's nodes. You never know.
It was Pluto's nodes in the sign of Saturn. And Pluto and Saturn on the eclipse were conjunct the node of Pluto.
2019.
So, so go look at that eclipse, and December. I just looked up the position of the node online. So you can find the positions of nodes online. We've been working on the rebuild of Kala for over 2 years now. It's
2
huge.
years, you'll take on.
Writing everything into a new language so that we can keep up with modern computers. Because, we've started Kala on technology that's 26 years old now. And once we do that, we can easily make Mac versions, iPhone, iPad, Android versions. So that's why we're doing it. But once that's done, we'll be adding some of these more fun calculations. But right now, we can't add anything.
You have a ready client right here in front of you who's going to buy it for sure. And what about the 13 houses? Sorry?
If there's anything you want to research, you can always email me about programming it.
I'm working on these Rahu getting direct and all a lot. I'm working on that. That is one of the researches. And when Saturn is in the Navmansha transiting through a particular point, it triggers also. When it is in a particular Navmansha at a particular degree. Like right now, one sec, I'll just not share, but I'll tell you, like Saturn right now is at 9 degrees, 9 degrees, 29 minutes in Cancer sign. So anybody having this, any of the planet, not just in the Cancer sign, but forming any kind of connectivity with 9 degrees, 49 minutes in the Navmansha when Saturn is, it is going to trigger that particular event. So is Venus for marriage and all, for marriage purpose. So that is what I'm working on.
You said you're using the Navamsha orb?
In the Navmansha orb, I'm saying.
The Navamsha orb.
No. I'm using this, bringing it to the D1 chart.
Yes. And
see, this is a transit.
Are you saying, what orb are you saying? You're saying some orb? I didn't understand the word.
I'm just going to share it. Maybe you can understand this North Indian chart I put up.
I can do North Indian. I just didn't understand the word you were using.
See, this is something which I use. I'll just tell you what I use when I'm talking about the degrees in the Navmansha. See, can you see this? These are all conjunct here.
Okay,
So
the degrees in the
maybe
Navamsha, yes.
degrees in the Navmansha. So if it is 9 degrees 29 minutes in Cancer sign, so we have to check what planet is in the Cancer sign or any other place where it is forming. Suppose it is closer to which degrees? Mercury retrograde, right? Here. So
Okay,
it is at 8 degrees 44 minutes. So it's the closest to this degree,
the
right?
closest.
Saturn. So something in the personal chart. Now, this is a personal chart and this is the
Yeah.
transit chart, suppose. So Saturn in the Cancer sign is forming a 5-9 relationship with this Mercury because it is here in the D9 chart, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
conjunct Jupiter also. Now, it is not forming that close degree connection with Jupiter. It isn't. That is why the event related to Jupiter will not trigger, but related to Mercury will, education will start, maybe some legal documents, or maybe you will start
Okay.
learning astrology, or maybe you will start traveling, something to do with for work, but
Yeah. Got it.
something related to profession, career,
Okay.
karma.
So
So
you're
I
using the
bring this.
okay. So you're
So
using the transits
yeah,
Navamsha degree to trigger
yeah,
the Rashi chart.
yes.
Very cool. Okay, good.
So
Yeah.
any kind of event, I'm relating it with the degrees of, suppose it is Mars and someone is looking for a partner or a relationship, a female counterpart. So I do see Mars's condition, Mars's degree here. So when it will trigger Mars in the D1 chart, suppose it is 11 degrees 23 minutes. So once it reaches, somewhere at the same degrees as your natal chart, and forming, see here it is in Scorpio, it's Vargotama. So when
Okay.
it will touch the degrees of the Rashi chart, 14 degrees 35 minutes, it will touch 11 degrees 23 minutes if it would have. So the event would have taken place related to
Gotcha.
the meeting of the partner, and it has happened. Somebody, I
Okay.
just predicted a couple of days back and it happened. I said that
Wonderful.
you're going to be meeting someone very soon, so it happened. So
Okay, nice, nice. Got it.
so
And you're
so
using
you
all the planets in the Navamsha. So any of the all the planets.
all the planets. See, majorly I use the outer planets because they actually, are very slow. So any major events like layoffs or, somebody getting the
Okay.
visa or somebody just traveling for work or something, then I see the degrees of the
Okay.
Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. That is
Perfect.
something I'm using. So how is this research going on?
I'll try that, especially
And
with the
also,
outer planets.
I said that, last time when we met, I said that when Saturn is, suppose in Virgo sign in the Navmansha, right now, moon is suppose here, right? In the
Okay.
Virgo sign in the
Yeah.
Rashi chart. Now, if this Saturn was also in the Virgo sign, okay, if this Saturn was in the Virgo sign in the Navmansha chart, I label it as a Sadesati. Or likewise, if Saturn was transiting over moon in the D9 chart, it is also considered to be a Sadesati phase for me.
Okay. Gotcha. So you'll feel that. Makes sense.
Yeah, I feel that. So
Good,
this
good.
is what I'm doing. And what about this? I just wanted to ask you, people are talking about the 13th house or 13th sign or whatever, Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I listened to that one. I want something to laugh at.
I was laughing actually, but yeah, I want to understand. What do you have to say?
Okay. It's really nonsense at the end of the day because the idea is that when we look at the constellations, we've got 13 constellations up there. But it doesn't matter. It's like those star formations have nothing to do with Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so on. For instance, Scorpio is so big, it takes so much space, It
Yes.
like it's part of it's in Sagittarius, part of it's in Scorpio,
In
part of
Libra,
it's
yeah.
in Libra. It's like so that big, beautiful scorpion you see in the sky,
Yeah.
only a third of it, or not more than a third, about half of it is Scorpio. The half's not even Scorpio. And
Right.
so what basically happened, we have this rich tradition of nakshatra stars. So we have in Scorpio, we have Anurad, we have the Jeshta, and at the tail of the scorpion is Mula's nakshatra. The stars in the tail of the Scorpio is actually Mula. The stinger, of course, is Mula, And we had these traditions of 27 or 28 stars, Chinese
Hmm.
culture had them.
Hmm.
The Chaldean culture had 18 stars.
Okay.
And of course, the Asian cultures use 27 or 28 based on the motion of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Chaldean culture had 18 stars because of the 18 years of Rahu of eclipse cycles.
Okay. Okay.
So one thing we
I
should
didn't know
do,
that.
we should get those symbols of their 18 stars and
Hmm.
apply them to Rahu and Ketu. That's another thing I want to program into college.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm so
Yeah.
thrilled.
And so we always had the
Hmm.
names of these stars, okay?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then the
Hmm.
Greeks show up in 300 BC and they're like,
Hmm.
let's rename the stars.
Okay.
And the modern names of this is Aries constellation. No, it's
Hmm.
not. That's Ashwini. What
Hmm.
they call Aries is Ashwini. And
Uh-huh.
then next to Ashwini is something called Bharani. And they include
Hmm.
that in Aries
Hmm.
space, but they
Hmm.
ignore Bharani. Instead, they just have, Aries is actually the Ashwini now.
Hmm.
So they
Okay.
basically renamed the stars. Now, the problem with that is modern astrologers or astronomers, whatever, are
Hmm.
looking and going, wait a minute, there's actually this 13th thing here. There should be 13 signs
Hmm.
because the signs of the zodiac have to do with the stars. It's like
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
don't. If they had anything to do with the stars,
Hmm.
Scorpio would be 60 degrees in your birth chart,
True.
And
Hmm.
some astrologers are even doing that now.
Hmm.
Libra, Cancer is 15 degrees, Scorpio 60 degrees. This other new constellation, O something, is this many degrees. Every constellation is a different degrees now.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
see, astrology is not about that.
No.
It's not about those stars. It's
Hmm.
about divisions of a circle, and we divide the circle equally, 30
Equally.
degrees, and then
Hmm.
into navamshas, 108 navamshas, and then
Hmm.
into 720 shashtiamshas.
Ashyamshas. Hmm.
And they don't understand this, and so they're creating nonsense for people to get lost in. So it's really funny to me.
Actually, it is digressing and it is actually creating a chaos. I'm
It's
telling you, it
creating a
is
chaos.
chaotic here,
Yeah.
especially, a Vedic astrology culture, which has just gone for a toss. I don't know what to do, how to bring the, bring it to the root again. It is becoming like there are so many branches which have come up.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to do. Like people like you, people like me, I really, we feel bad. I feel bad, really,
There's a
why is
lot
it
of
so?
funny things showing up. I mean, I've even had people tell me that we need to calculate everything in the way that the world is flat.
Hmm.
Like, oh,
It's
everything we
like
should
that.
calculate differently because the world's flat. It's like
Hmm.
actually because the fact that when we calculate these things that actually works, it proves the world is round. There is no way to calculate this stuff up from a flat
Yeah,
world perspective and have it actually line up.
not at all. Hmm.
Mathematics proves things. If you can
Yep.
prove it mathematically, it's true.
Yeah.
And as far as my personal feeling is,
Hmm.
I don't even use signs of the zodiac anymore. I only use adityas now.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, wow. And my students that I'm teaching this to are loving it too. It's like the symbolism, like they're just based on the sign, they're making predictions about people. Oh, this person's a
Really?
craftsman because of
Wow.
Twashta Aditya.
Wow.
And it's really it just makes everything easier, honestly. And then we're
How do
using
we
two
use it
single symbols.
on the software? Just let me know. How do we, where do
Okay,
we get it? It's there?
you go to your options and
Hmm.
calculation options. Under
Hmm.
the Ayanamsha, you have to click
Hmm.
on Aditya.
I am sure. Okay. Okay. Got it.
You have that? You have the Aditya?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now you'll have the Adityas.
Okay. Got it.
And so the Aditya chart's a little different. So
Hmm. Hmm.
with the Adityas, see how in the chart, oh, let me screen share and I'll show you.
Yep. Please.
Okay. Okay. So I use the South Indian chart for the Adityas. And the Adityas right now are only
Hmm.
coming up. It's not everywhere in Kala. It's only some
Hmm.
places. But basically, in this South Indian chart, you'll see this line is a little
Hmm.
darker. This line is
Hmm.
darker and this line
No,
is
I can
darker.
see I've zoomed in. I can
Okay.
see it.
All right. So This line is the equinox line, and
Right.
this line is the solstice line.
Hmm.
Okay, so these 2 months, Data and Aryama, take place in Vasanta. And Vasanta,
Okay.
of course, is 30 degrees before the equinox and 30 degrees after the equinox.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we're calculating the planets in relationship to these 12 adityas, which are
Okay.
related to the solstices and equinoxes.
How do we
Okay,
use them?
we use them, first of all, we
Hmm.
learn the meanings of the symbols. So each of
Hmm.
these adityas has six beings that travel with it. So we have the symbol of the aditya,
Hmm.
and then we have
Hmm.
the symbol of Nagas. So we have 12 Nagas.
Okay.
We have 12 Apsaras.
Okay.
We have 12 Gandharvas.
Okay.
We have 12 Rishis.
Hmm.
And we have 12 Yakshas.
Gandharvas and
So
Yakshas.
all these
Okay.
mythological beings
Hmm. Hmm.
have a symbol. For each Rashi, we have 7 symbols that are unique to Hindu philosophy.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And that's why the class, I'm on video number 7 now. I'm in the middle of the Nagas because I'm doing a video on each symbol. That's 7 times 12. That's
Okay.
80, that's 84 symbols. That's 84 videos. So the
Wow.
same way you had to learn Aries is a ram,
Hmm.
Aries is red, Aries is
Hmm.
rocky places, Aries is a
Hmm.
movable sign.
Hmm.
You have to learn a whole new
Wow.
symbology of the circle. And
Hmm.
but it's really fantastic. So many
84,
people,
huh? All 84 you're doing, huh?
there's
Now.
7 times 12 is 84, right?
Yep.
And so many people have written, they said, astrology never made so much sense as it did now that I'm using the adityas. There's like, it explains the things in my chart that I never had an answer on, you know? And
Hmm.
so it's really been a fun thing. And
Hmm. Hmm.
a lot
So
of
you're
people,
using it for predictions also, is it? Or just to
everything,
know how the person is,
how the
personality
person
traits?
is, predictions,
Hmm.
medical, world events,
Wow.
everything. And with world events, it's especially been really, really interesting. Like, let me pull up an example here.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, let's go to Aditya Lunar New Year's for Germany.
Okay.
Let's go 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this, of course, was the end of World War II.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, one of the things you'll see, well, actually, let's go to 1944 first,
Hmm.
because really the war was lost in 1944.
Right.
Um,
Germany. Hmm.
okay, 1944. So
Hmm.
this is using the Aditya Lunar New Year.
Hmm.
Okay, so the
Okay.
Aditya Lunar New Year happens at the Sun-Moon conjunction
Hmm.
before Data. Data is the first Aditya.
Okay.
So the Aditya New Year happens in end of January or in
So it's
February.
starting from Aries only, is it? No.
No, we don't have, Aries is gone.
No, no, nothing is there. Right, right, right.
It's
Understood.
gone.
Hmm.
Okay, now Aries would be right here. See where
Hmm.
Ariama is? That would be
Hmm.
Aries.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the way I did it is I shifted it. I moved in if you look at the zodiac with tropical, the equinox goes through here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
shifted the equinox forward. So in this chart, the equinox is here.
Hmm.
Data
Hmm.
is the first aditya and it's before the equinox. Aryama is the second aditya after the equinox.
Got
And
it.
the
Hmm.
lunar New Year chart is calculated for
Hmm.
um, the Sun-Moon conjunction before the
Yeah.
ingress into Data. Okay?
Okay.
And that
Okay.
actually coincides to the Chinese Lunar New Year, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we look at this chart and we can see, you know, we've got a starved Jupiter in the first house of Germany. So they're getting starved. Um,
Hmm.
got the 12th Lord in the 7th, showing losing foreign territories.
Hmm.
Uh, we see a Saturn-Mars conjunction in Varuna, which has to do with foreign places.
Mm-hmm.
and showing, this is 11th house, which is gains of foreign places, but with Saturn Mars, they're losing foreign ground in 1944. Over here we have Venus. It's and also we see, at this point, well, I won't get into that. Then we see Venus is not very good.
Is it?
It's in Vaga, not a bad place for it, but it's not a great Venus. Germany had lost the war at this point, but it's not a nice Venus. When we go to the next year, which is what I wanted to show you, we see that Venus goes to Aryama, which is one of the best places for Venus. It's delighted by Saturn. And so this is why they were able to make peace in 1945.
Okay.
And it was a very nice peace. At the end of World War I, the peace they made with Germany was very, very difficult for Germany. It destroyed Germany, and that led to World War II. Luckily, because of Venus and Aryama, which is a long-term peace, they made a peace with Germany that has resulted in Germany becoming a first world successful modern country without any malignancy in it whatsoever. In fact, people who travel to Germany say it's the friendliest country, when they travel in Europe. And we can see that because Venus was in Aryama. Now, Venus in Aryama doesn't mean anything to you because you haven't learned about Aryama. But when you learn about Aryama, you see Venus is Aryama is the companion.
Okay.
So, and Aryama is ruled by Venus. So we have Venus in its own sign now. The 8th house is the house of war. And now we have this beautiful Venus in the house of war saying time for peace. You see? So, whereas before, Venus was in Bhaga. Bhaga
Bhaga is division, basically.
It is division, but it's use your will to get what you can get. It's all about will. So Bhaga is a very martial place. Mars is exalted in Bhaga. Okay.
Oh.
So Bhaga is about I use my will to get my share. And so Venus in Bhaga is never going to create a nice peace treaty, you see? But Venus in Aryama would. And it's a very nice Venus, okay? As it always is. And
wonderful.
Yeah, so just like with world events, with everything, I'm having much better results than I've ever had using
this is a good research.
And so yeah, I do everything with the ditya symbols now. And so we have the ditchas have modalities, they have elements, they have all this stuff that I've been developing. Really, I started playing with these back in 2007 is when I first started playing with it.
Wow.
But that's been the focal point of the last 5 years of my astrology focus has been developing these adityas. So it's a whole nother, it's a vast, we've got 84 symbols to use that we weren't using before.
Yeah. That's like getting into the minutest, like 12. We are just confined to the 12 signs right now. And you have gone to the extent of 84. So it definitely is a vast difference. No?
It's a lot. And what's cool about it, it's all original Vedic. It's Vedic. It has nothing to do with Greek or Persia. It's simple. It's out of,
the names only say that they are all Vedic names.
Yeah, and the sutra of how to calculate these adityas is in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh.
Yeah, this is all, how to calculate these and the 7 beings that travel, with the aditya.
Yeah, the 7 lokas.
No, not 7 lokas. We have the aditya and he travels with 6 people. So every sign has 7 symbols, right? The aditya and the 6 beings. Those are also given in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, really?
So all of this comes from Srimad Bhagavatam, and so I really feel like this is the ancient astrology from India. I really think it's the Adityas circle.
Wow. No, there is so much, I'm just wondering, there is lots more. Like maybe we have not touched upon so many other things.
Yeah, and it's a shame that it's really interesting to me that here we have these adityas given with all these symbols in Srimad Bhagavatam, and yet they're not found in any astrology book.
Very strange.
See, the astrology books were never written in India until after the Persian invasion into North India. All the astrology books come from,
Persian.
50 AD and onward, which the first
Hmm.
one is Yavana Jataka. That's the oldest
Hmm.
one we've got.
Hmm.
Jaimini Sutras is probably older. Jaimini makes fun of Aries, Taurus, and Gemini.
Hmm.
He doesn't use it. He says if I use Aries, Taurus, Gemini, don't pay attention to it, turn it into a number, and from
Hmm.
that number get the Rashi. And
Yeah.
honestly, everything in Jaimini works way better with the Adityas. So
Hmm.
especially with
Acha.
Jaimini
Okay.
techniques, I find everything's working really nice. So I only use the Aditya circle now. I don't use
Hmm.
Aries, Taurus, Gemini, tropical or sidereal
I'm
anymore. I
going
just
to
use
definitely try it
Aditya.
tonight. I'm
So
going to
you
be
can
trying
play
it.
with it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to learn to use it fully because you have to learn the symbols. I have a course
Yeah.
on it
Hmm.
that's been going on, and I have some videos where I talk about it on
Hmm.
YouTube where I talked about the Trump cabinet using their Aditya chart.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I give
Hmm.
like maybe 5, 6, 7, including I talked about the U.S. Lunar New Year chart for 2025. And
Mm-hmm.
based on that, I made a couple simple predictions like gold would go up. I'm using the
Oh,
Aditya chart. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you just search Aditya,
okay.
you'll find all the videos on the
All the videos there.
Adityas.com.
Okay.
And then
I'm
of
going to
course
do
on
that.
my other
Hmm.
site, I have the whole course that I'm teaching.
Hmm.
That's going to probably take 3 more months to finish, I think. It's a lot.
Hmm.
I have to do Apsaras, Gandharvas, and Yakshas, and I'm halfway through the Nagas. So I've only gone halfway through the class.
Okay. Okay. So
So,
anybody who's looking for learning this technique, at least using Aditya, so definitely they can enroll.
yeah, and once you
I think they
learn
can
it,
catch up. Hmm.
yeah, once you learn the Adityas, any technique you
Hmm.
can apply to the Adityas. The yogas the
Okay.
dignities, everything. All you have to do is learn this new circle.
Hmm.
Everything will only
Hmm.
work better. You don't have to change
Hmm.
any of what you already know. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay,
So thank
that's great. So you mean that if there is a yoga forming with the planet interplanetary, so it will be also applicable if they are in that particular aditya, like one aditya and the other aditya is also forming a connection, so it is going to form a yoga, right?
yeah. So let's
Similar.
say, for instance, that you have an angle and trine is forming a Raj Yoga, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. So you can do that with the Aditya lordships too.
Okay. Okay.
So if you take your Aditya 10th Lord and your Aditya 5th Lord and they're joined, you have a yoga.
Yoga. Got it.
Yeah, so
Understood.
any yogas you learn, second and 11th Lord is good for wealth. You take the
Hmm.
Lord of your second Aditya and the Lord of your 11th Aditya, if they're joined, they'll be
Hmm.
well. The only thing
Wow.
is I found the yogas work better.
Hmm. That's wonderful. So seven in one sign, in one house,
There's
basically.
7 symbols to each sign. And
Seven
that's
symbols.
part of it. But then you have to learn the lordships of the
Hmm.
Adityas,
Hmm.
the dignities, the element of the Aditya. There's all
Hmm.
these other things to learn of the
Yeah.
Adityas.
Yeah.
So it's basically we're putting everything onto a different map. The
Hmm.
map of the
So
Adityas.
all seven are either very good or they're mixed, like good, bad,
Okay,
mix, or
they're all good
they're all good.
if
Okay.
they're used good. So it depends
Okay.
if they're healthy or not. If it's afflicted, it's used
Hmm.
in an ugly way.
Okay. Okay. Got
If
it.
it's healthy, it's used in a beautiful way. And
Wow.
the ditches also answer the number one question, which is what is my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
People, you can't answer that question with the tropical or sidereal zodiac. You can't answer that with Aries, Taurus, Gemini.
Spiritual
What
growth.
what is my
Spiritual.
purpose? What our purpose is to express love.
Ah.
So if people think, what's my purpose? Should I be a musician or an author? Your purpose
Hmm.
to express love.
Hmm.
But what
Hmm.
kind of love? See, humans can't express divine love.
Right.
See, the circle, the Dityas are the 12 children of of um of Aditi.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
Aditi is the unbroken.
Hmm.
She's a symbol of divine mother. Perfect
Hmm.
circle of love. So I
Hmm.
have this circle of the ecliptic. It's a perfect circle of love.
Hmm.
And then Aditi has 12 children, which are the 12 Adityas, the 12 sun gods. So now the circle is broken into 12 parts. You understand? Each of those is an aspect of Aditi's love. And the Srimad Bhagavatam says these Adityas travel through the sky to benefit the greater welfare of humanity. Okay? So these 12 Adityas are the love we have. None of us can have divine love, but we can have the love of Aryama. We can have the love of Amshu. We can have the love of Indra. We can have and that love is the love that has to be lived. If that love is not being lived, we won't have good lives, basically. Okay? And by looking at the avashtas of the planets, we can see, is the person experiencing and expressing that love or not? And that's how and so the purpose of what we're here for is to express a certain type of love. We can't express all love because we're humans. We can't express divine love, right? But we can express a true love of a certain type. And it's important for us to know what that love is, how we operate. And then we do everything else. So we do the Jamie techniques, and you're a doctor, and you're an astrologer, and you're a basketball player. Who cares? What love are you expressing? That determines your success, your happiness, and if you fulfill your purpose or not. Some basketball players express love, some don't, right? Some doctors express love, some don't. But the purpose is to express that love. How we do it, what we're doing while we're expressing the love, doesn't matter. Has nothing to do with our spiritual being. So it really focuses in on our spiritual development, growth, and our true spiritual being, our true nature. And where our afflictions are, it shows all the ways we're using the Adityas in the wrong way, in a twisted way. And it works perfectly for predictions too. Once you learn the lordships, you can do predictions just like you did the rest with just like normal. You just once you learn the lordships, you're doing predictions. And it's shocking to me how many people, I thought people would have to get to the end of the course before they would embrace the Adityas. But so many people, even after 1/3 of the course, they're like, I'm never using the zodiac for predictions ever again.
That's so nice, huh?
They're
That's so
just
nice.
jumping into the Adityas. And I've been taking years like working with these and researching these things before I wanted to teach them, because it's such a change. I mean, it's a huge change. We're basically saying we don't care about Aries anymore, It's very radical, but instead we're just embracing these 12 sutras from the Srimad Bhagavatam, basically. And then trying to research these beings and see who these guys are, who are these Adityas and Yakshas and Nagas and Apsaras. We're talking about 84 mythological beings, trying to find information on these beings, many of which have been forgotten. There's no information on them, and I have to decide what they mean in other ways,
Yeah. No, I have not heard. I haven't heard of this. Of course, I've heard what you're saying about the Apsaras and all. That is there in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita. But how to use it and, make
how to use
predictions
it.
and all that, I've not done it so far.
Exactly. And astronomically, it lines up very nicely astronomically with our chakras and the way the heavens are. So it's something to play with. You can check out the videos. If it interests you, you can jump into the course.
I will, for sure.
But for world events, I really, really like them. And when I started using the Aditya Lunar New Year to predict world events, my predictions got much better than when I was using the Hindu Lunar New Year.
Oh,
And the
really?
Aditya Lunar New Year starts a month before the Hindu Lunar New Year that most people are using.
Yeah, because you said that sun and moon are together when they are together.
Before entering data, yeah.
Yes, before entering data, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be careful. Sometimes there'll be two sun-moon conjunctions in Parjanya, which is the sign before data. Sometimes it's one will be at the very beginning, one at the very end. In that case, you have a what's it called? Is it the Adhika Masa or the
Yeah,
Shaya
yeah,
Masa?
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's one of those two. So
yeah.
in that case,
Shay or Adik, yeah.
then it's then it's an Adhika Masa. And then you have, I think so. Then you have to use the first one of those conjunctions.
Okay, okay. The
Not
lower degrees.
not the second one, the lower degrees. And then you have, but that's a strange year when that happens. That's not generally auspicious. The next year's Lunar New Year on 2026 falls on an eclipse too. So super important year next year because the Lunar New Year is an eclipse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll talk about that hopefully on my YouTube channel before too long.
I'll be looking forward to it. And everybody is asking, there are comments coming in that you should bring Ernst more often on your channel. He has
pleasure.
truly unfolded such innovative recipes.
Okay. Yeah, we should meet more. It was really fun to spend some time with you.
Yeah, it is so much fun. And it is just not, a chit chat. It was I think it was it was awesome. That's
Okay,
the
well,
word.
thank you. It was great for
I
me too.
learned so much.
I want to play around with some of those transit things you told me about.
Yeah, no, I'll send
see.
you the recording. You can also, maybe go
Perfect.
through that piece when what I'm using. Yeah.
Perfect.
All
Thank you so
right.
much for your
Thanks.
time.
Thanks so much, Ernst. Thanks so much.
Bye,
And
Namaste,
see you
everyone.
soon. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.